Their conversation was immediately covered by news hunters' camera lenses. Rumors spread that Soho and Songi are dating. Uncle Glasses immediately contacted the young boss and informed him of this incident. Of course, the young boss had expected it. Park Soho was still a man. In front of dozens of pairs of watching eyes, Songi took Soho by the hand and invited him to chat in a cafe. The scene continues. The young boss has met Songi and Uncle Glasses. Originally Soho was there, but after drinking Soho immediately left. The young boss was surprised to hear this, asking for a logical explanation. Songi cried. She was sad because she had been rejected. Soho said that he doesn't like weak women. Songi chose to go. She wanted to try becoming an awakener. The young boss asked Uncle Glasses how it happened. Soho previously said that his companion must be a strong woman. Uncle Glasses feels that there is someone in their guild who might meet Park Soho's standards. Kim Mi-jung, a rank awakener, a muscular woman with scars all over her body. The young boss asked where Soho was at the moment, and Uncle Glasses answered that Soho had recently entered the dungeon again. But then they were surprised that Soho returned so quickly from the dungeon, even though only a few minutes had passed. The young boss and Glasses' uncle ran towards Soho calling him. The young boss asked for a moment to talk. The young boss took his business card from his jacket pocket. But Soho just left him and went into the dungeon. The young boss looked stupid. He couldn't believe that someone of his caliber was being ignored like that. Uncle Glasses tries to calm the emotional young boss with a Soho attitude. Manager Cheon comes to stop the chaos and commotion that is happening. Manager Cheon warns the young boss that many people saw his actions, so the young boss should stop and go home. Rumors circulated. The son of the owner of the DGB group went berserk because he was ignored by Park Soho. The young boss had no choice. If this gossip spread, it would make things difficult for him. Manager Cheon will take over and clean up any mess that occurs. Manager Cheon praises the young boss's hard work, and promises that in the future the young boss will get a lot of time to chat with Soho. Reluctantly, the young boss left the location. He doesn't accept Manager Cheon getting the results of his hard work. Manager Cheon immediately called the DGB group leader to inform him of the current situation. Manager Cheon also reported about Soho's ability to complete dungeon level 5 quickly. The leadership is very satisfied. They must get Soho at any cost. Suddenly Soho comes out of the dungeon and startles Manager Cheon. Soho checked his status window. He had met his quota. When the beast farm is upgraded to level 2, the number of shelter capacities increases to 200. Soho wanted to enter once more, but he was hungry again because he had worked so hard. Manager Cheon was also in front of him. Manager Cheon greeted Soho politely and introduced himself. Soho doesn't understand why there are so many people looking for him. Manager Cheon came to apologize to Soho for the previous incident at dungeon level 5. Soho even asked why he was only doing it now. Manager Cheon reasons that he needs time to make his preparations. Manager Cheon also thanked Soho. Thanks to him, this level 5 dungeon became more famous, and the economy around the dungeon improved. Manager Cheon has prepared a gift. He took Soho to a restaurant to continue their conversation there. Soho agrees and accepts it. Coincidentally, he was very hungry. Manager Cheon invites Soho to get into his car and go together. At Soho Guild, Juno, and the others just now, they were very satisfied with their activities that day. Dongso just remembered that he was supposed to meet with the applicants who were applying to their guild, but because he was focused on eating lobster, he forgot about it. According to Dongso, it would be better for Juno to interview new applicants, see whether they are suitable or not. But Juno refused, because he didn't have a mercenary license yet. Juno was only registered as a porter on this team. Tomorrow is the day of the mercenary license exam. Juno didn't have time for interviews, plus other tasks and also dungeon raids. Gunwoo and Grandma Sukja came to greet them. Gunwoo is very happy that his father has returned. Dongso handed a box of lobsters to Grandma Sukja. Moving on to Soho and manager Cheon's conversation. Soho had finished his meal, which of course was a jumbo portion. Soho was grateful, but Soho also felt this was a bit excessive. Previously, manager Cheon had offered prizes in the form of 5 luxury cars and 300 million won. For manager Cheon it was appropriate, when Soho almost lost his life. Manager Cheon also has other gifts. Soho felt strange, why manager Cheon and his team tried so hard and wasted money just to apologize. Soho asked manager Cheon to get straight to the point. Manager Cheon explained that the DGB Group wanted to establish an official partnership with the Soho Guild. DGB Group currently has not reached a position to acquire one of the areas in the city of Seoul, because the DGB Guild has not been able to form a level 6 team. Soho believes that this must have hurt DGB Group's pride. For manager Cheon, his boss was the one who suffered the most and experienced many difficult times. Soho never intended to become one of the guilds that gets one of the 12 sectors in the city of Seoul. And that's not the goal of the DGB Group either. Manager Cheon said that DGB Group wants to open a new sector, Sector 13, together with Soho Guild. Currently, all the guilds in the 12 sectors in the city of Seoul are really having a hard time when the level 6 dungeon appears, creating panic and worry among the city's residents. So what if the Soho Guild that opened Sector 13 appeared and could calm the residents' discomfort? Many citizens will move to new sectors, and make the economy grow well. The Soho Guild's biggest problem is its resources, not having adequate manpower and not having experience in managing the city. Having so many things to do at one time will definitely be a hassle for Soho and his colleagues in completing the dungeon. Soho understands, DGB Group has money and resources but no power. Inviting Soho Guild to work together to build the city. Manager Cheon realizes there is a big opportunity at the Soho Guild. The right place to invest. Manager Cheon asks if Soho is interested. Soho thought about it carefully. There was no way this could be handled with just 4 members. Cooperation like this was common, many guilds had support from large companies. Manager Cheon guarantees that DGB Group will be the best partner for Soho Guild. Soho understands that the DGB Group wants to control residential areas and commercial areas in the Soho area. Soho has no problem with that. Manager Cheon is sure he can get something good here. DGB Group is the best choice for Soho guilds that are unable to take care of the economic and development sectors. Soho decided to consider, and also Sector 13 will not stand immediately. Soho immediately said goodbye because it was late. He wanted to go home immediately. Manager Cheon intervened by saying that there was still one more additional prize. The DGB Group investigation team succeeded in finding the fugitive who had escaped and was hiding in the field. Chairman of the Pinjal Company, Kim Yong-soo. DGB has stated to the public that Yong-soo is dead, so Soho can take care of it as he pleases. Soho doesn't understand why DGB Group went that far. He left it to manager Cheon to take care of Yong-soo as he pleased. Soho doesn't care. Soho is sure that Yong-soo's life will end by itself, so don't bother doing this. Just throw Yong-soo into the dungeon. Soho asks manager Cheon to wait. Soho calls someone. At home, Juno was playing together with Gunwoo. The son locked his father's movements, and made Juno surrender. Soho called, asking Juno to go somewhere right away. For Soho, the timing was perfect, because there was someone who wanted to meet Juno. Soho will send the address, so Juno can go there directly. Soho also asked Juno to take his medicine before leaving. Juno was surprised when he heard that the location was in the DGB area. Juno was curious who wanted to meet him. The DGB Group car is ready to take Soho home. Soho handed over Yangso's affairs to his brother and thanked manager Cheon. In another place, the DGB group leader called the bureau chief. The two of them do have a pretty good relationship. The chairman stated that manager Cheon had already met with Soho, and their conversation sounded positive. The chairman welcomed this news. Soon many refugees will move to the Soho area, and the leadership is ready to build residential areas and commercial areas. The bureau chief hopes that they can continue to work together and help each other in this difficult world situation. Juno drove his car to the container building in the DGB group area. Juno arrived at his destination and was greeted by the officers there. These two people asked Juno to follow them. Juno entered one of the containers in which Kim Yong-soo was tied and in a battered condition. Yong-soo smiled happily seeing Juno, who was still scared when he met him. Juno asked why Yong-soo wanted to see him. For Juno everything that happened was in the past. Yong-soo thanked him. He argued that what happened to Soho had nothing to do with him. That's something beyond Yong-soo's abilities. Yong-soo is sure, this is all a trap set by the Bureau and the DGB group to make big money by exploiting Soho. Juno felt that it was no longer important for now, so he chose to leave. Yong-soo stopped him. He asked Juno to help him get out of there, bringing up that he was the one who helped Gunwo's mother get a job. At that time, Gunwo's mother said that her financial situation was very difficult, so she begged Yong-soo to find a job. In fact, what happened at that time was that Yong-soo and the members went to Juno's house and met his wife who was carrying Gunwo. Yong-soo threatened that Juno's debt was no longer payable and the interest was very high. Their family had no hope anymore. Gunwo's mother begs not to hurt herself and Gunwo, who is still a baby. Yong-soo offers a solution. He will find a job for Gunwo's mother, which will be able to pay off her debt in less than 3 months. Yong-soo left a piece of paper and some money, asking Gunwo's mother to think about his offer well. Gunwo became emotional. He asked where Gunwo's mother was currently. Yong-soo promised that if Juno got him out of there, he would tell him the location of Gunwo's mother. Will Juno help him, considering that Juno has unstable emotions? Soho received news that Dr. Toddler had given the answer and wanted to meet Soho. The good news that we have been waiting for has finally arrived. Soho was getting impatient. According to Miso, Dr. Toddler was the most influential person who discovered dimensional energy measuring devices and the use of blood crystals, an important figure behind the dimensional energy industry. Soho hopes that Dr. Toddler will know about the time difference and the dimensional gap between Earth and the planet he is stranded on. If you get a satisfactory answer, Soho might be able to reunite with all his flock. Soho continued to call Juno to ask how he was doing, but there was no answer. Soho asked the driver to turn the car around and head to the DGB area. Juno's car has moved away from the container area. Yong-soo was grateful for Juno's help, who was able to take him away from there. The scene continues. The car that Juno is driving goes to a field. Juno woke up Yong-soo because they had arrived at their destination. Juno asked where Gunwo's mother was. Yong-soo promised that soon his men would take Juno there. A group of thugs dressed in black immediately surrounded the car. Yong-soo immediately greeted all the members and asked how they were doing. Juno asked this member to take Juno to meet his wife. Juno was taken into an abandoned building. As soon as the lamp was turned on, there was only a meat grinder that was stained with red spots. Juno didn't understand this situation, so he asked again where Gunwo's mother was. Instead of getting an answer, it was a blow that Yong-soo delivered. Yong-soo said that he had refined Gunwo's mother at that place. Yong-soo continued to beat Juno repeatedly. Emotions because of Soho and Juno's actions have destroyed his business. All this time, there was only one thing on Yong-soo's mind. How can he reply to Juno to calm his emotions? Juno used to think that he would be free from the torment of others once he graduated from high school. But until he was an adult, Juno still couldn't see a way out of his situation. Juno's only escape from this hellish real world is gore games. Gunwo's mother, Myekyung, is also the only woman who approaches someone like Juno. But Juno can't give happiness, he can only give the hysterical feeling of someone trying to escape reality and poverty. Juno hopes he can meet his wife Myekyung again, apologize and beg to be given one more chance. Yongsu's men have prepared the grinding machine. Yongsu will destroy Juno slowly, starting from his legs. This man was ready to hit Juno with a mace, and couldn't promise that it wouldn't hurt. Juno thanked Yongsu. Thanks to him Juno was able to recall his past memories. Juno got up and cut off the hand of the man carrying the mace. In the past, Juno promised Gunwo's mother that he would not hurt anyone. But the situation was different, Juno wouldn't let anyone escape. Yongsu panicked, he didn't know that Juno had become an awakener. Juno danced fluently while swinging his sword. Juno came out of the warehouse with a rolling coconut. Juno cleaned up all the bandits one by one. From the top of a building, Soho observed the situation calmly. Soho feels that Juno is free from his restraints, and can now stand on his own without Soho's help. Juno's hidden emotions have been released. Will we see Juno version 2.0? In Gyeongbuk Sector 2, North Area. After facing the monsters that came from the dungeon break non-stop, the defense force managed to control the situation. Some guilds are having difficulty and can't even handle the surge in dungeon breaks. This makes residents more worried every day. Korea's strongest defense force, which was sent to the front lines, has returned to its camp after successfully completing the mission. At the bureau, Miso was confused about whether to be angry or happy, after seeing Soo-young looking fine. Emotional because Soo-young didn't give him any news. The Korean public was also shocked by hot gossip regarding one of the members of the idol group Vitamin, Songi, who is reportedly in a relationship with Park Soho, marketing scandal to raise the prestige of the idol group Vitamin, which will soon release a new song. Soo-young accidentally saw this news on the television screen. Making his emotions unstoppable, his aura evaporated. And the people around him were confused by Soo-young's attitude. In the Soho Guild area, Dungeon Level 4. Captain Lee and his team have finished raiding the dungeon. The operator reported that the expedition team had been increased to 12 teams, increasing the number of kills in the dungeon. But we still don't have any information about the secret of Park Soho's strength. Miso was stressed when she received this report because she didn't get the results she wanted. Remembering Soho's words explaining that he had been practicing and surviving for 1,000 years. As well as defense from Soo-young, who guaranteed that Soho had nothing to hide. After carrying out a useless dungeon raid, Miso realizes that the secret lies in Park Soho itself. So Miso will focus more on Soho. Miso gets a call from Soho, and asks what she needs. There's something bothering Soho's mind. Ask what would happen if an awakener was bitten and infected with necroville. Miso is shocked to hear this question. Asking if any of the Soho members are infected. Soho didn't want to explain the details, he said he was just curious and wanted to know. At home, monk Myung-jin is suffering from the symptoms of the necroville mutation. Miso explained that there had been 38 cases of awakeners infected with necroville. After 48 full days of observation, 2 victims died from leukemia. 26 people became bald and lost their hair. 7 victims admitted that they only felt pain in the part that was bitten. 3 rank F awakeners turned into necroville zombies. The victims experienced symptoms of high fever, pain throughout the body and red corneas. It is confirmed that awakeners with low ranks will have a greater chance of turning into necroville. Infected victims will be taken to Australia, the International Disease Management Center. Soho ends the conversation with Miso, concluding that Myung-jin would only be a guinea pig if brought to Australia. On the street that crosses Soho, there is an unusual street vendor. Soho knew this trader, he said hello and started chatting. The trader asked if Soho needed medicine for his brother again. Soho said that his colleague was bitten on the leg by a sick person. Traders also sympathize with this. Soho asked if there was any effective medicine to treat the disease. Previously, Juno's medicine was really effective. The trader attacks a bottle of ointment, an elixir that can cure all kinds of illnesses, from mild to severe. Apply to the injured area, do it twice a day before eating in the morning and evening. The benefits will be felt after 1 week of use. Soho asks how much it costs. The merchant answered that the other one costs 4 million won, but because Soho is a regular customer, he will give a special price of 1.2 million won. Soho asked for 10 bottles of ointment, so he didn't have to bother going back and forth. Traders remind, if the victim experiences a seizure, apply the medicine after making the victim faint. This action will stop the spread of the virus. Soho immediately left after completing the payment and didn't forget to thank the merchant for his help. Officer came and asked the traders to turn themselves in, because they were selling in a prohibited area. But the traders instead jumped over the guardrail to escape. After checking, this officer lost track of the trader and only saw a crow. At home, monk Myung-jin is still fighting hard against his pain. Dongso, Jasik and Gunwoo observe Myung-jin's behavior from the door, wondering why Soho hasn't come back yet. Gunwoo was so excited, he was waiting for the moment when monk Myung-jin would turn into a monster. Myung-jin is still in bed, fighting against the spread of the virus. From afar, Gunwoo encourages monk Myung-jin to make his changes. Myung-jin sat on the bed and became calmer. This shocked the excited trio. The excited trio felt that monk Myung-jin was hungry, and woke up because it was time to eat. Soho arrives on time and asks what the excited trio is doing. Is monk Myung-jin okay? The spread of the necrovili virus had reached the monk's right eye, and red lines had spread across his body. Soho stroked monk Myung-jin's face with all his heart to make him faint. After that, just apply the elixir. Move to the location of Dungeon Level 7, Sapporo City, in Hokkaido, Japan. All attention was focused on the appearance of Dungeon Level 7. It had been 10 days and 11 hours since Hiro's team of 25 people entered the dungeon. After taking quite a long time, Hiro and his team came out of the dungeon. One by one the team members fell, medical personnel immediately helped to heal. Including Okita Hiro himself, he immediately fell unconscious. It was reported that there were 7 people who did not survive. Actually, how terrifying is this level 7 dungeon? A few days later, Hiro was being treated in hospital. Akiko is always loyal beside him. Hiro finally came to his senses and immediately asked Akiko for a glass of water. Hiro calmed himself over what happened. Akiko asks him not to blame himself. Akiko immediately gave information that Soho would meet with Mr. Daigo, the Japanese representative. Akiko felt this was suspicious. Mr. Daigo is a representative of the Japanese Supernatural Bureau, an agency responsible for national defense, institutions that have more power than Awakener bureaus. This means that the Japanese want to establish relations with Park Soho. Hiro was emotional about this. Japan made it a benchmark for recruiting other strong Awakeners for a better future. Hiro couldn't delay any longer. The appearance of Dungeon Level 7 was faster than expected, making Hiro lose 7 of his members. Hiro didn't feel sad, because it had been hundreds of years since he had lost many of his colleagues. Hiro has also witnessed Akiko rising more than 10 times. Hiro turns to Soho as the reason for everything going wrong. Hiro can't let Soho ruin all his efforts. Soho is a person who collects terrible criminals in the future. For Hiro it is impossible for Soho to have a good goal. Based on the future of humanity, Hiro must end the life story of Park Soho. Hiro asked Akiko to find him a ship that could take him to Korea right away. Moving on to the Soho Guild, Juno has obtained his mercenary license. Meanwhile, Dongso is still busy with his laptop, editing several new videos. Even though the YouTube channel's views have decreased due to rumors that Soho is just an ordinary dungeon returner, it has more than 1 million subscribers. Dongso really didn't expect to find all this. His life story changed 180 degrees after meeting Soho. Juno came in and startled Dongso. He opened the door loudly. Dongso protested that Juno should at least knock on the door first. Juno apologizes. Juno invited us to eat together because Grandma Sukja had finished cooking. Juno also asked where Jasik was. Dongso answered that Jasik is a training enthusiast, currently Jasik is practicing. Dongso will finish editing first, then go downstairs to eat. Jasik focused on his training. There were 5 trees around him. Jasik slashed, cut and split the log perfectly. Jasik was not satisfied, his movements were still slow. He had to get even faster. Jasik is determined to be better, he doesn't want to repeat the same mistakes. A quite luxurious temple has stood in the Soho Guild area. Soho comes to visit to see the head monk. Ask if the head monk likes the new temple. The head monk thanked Soho. The new temple is very nice and very sturdy. Soho asked that if there was a problem, or something missing, report it to him immediately. When he had nowhere to go, Soho welcomed the head monk with open arms. Seeing Soho's great attention and concern, the head monk didn't know how to reply. They were surprised by the arrival of Gunwo and other children racing while riding wolves. This was the first time Soho saw Gunwo be that happy and happy. Soho continued to ask, how is monk Myunjin's condition, is it better? The head monk replied that it would be better now, and that Myungjin would start exercising. Monk Myungjin got a mark on his right eye. His eyeball also had a red spot. Since childhood, monk Myungjin has been the victim of bullying from children his age. The reason is because Myungjin suffers from a disease that makes him have no fur or hair all over his body. When he felt that his life was very difficult, Myungjin accidentally met his teacher who asked him to go to the temple to become a monk. Then the monk Myungjin lost his teacher when monsters attacked the temple. For the first time monk Myungjin felt hatred. After that, Myungjin cleaned up all the monsters. Anger made him forget his teacher's teachings and take away the living with both hands. Then a Soho figure appears who saves Myungjin from the abyss of pain. Built a temple for monk Myungjin and his family. Soho has removed the burden that Myungjin was carrying. In order to repay all Soho's kindness, monk Myungjin has set a new goal. No matter if he goes to hell, monk Myungjin will faithfully accompany Soho to save many people. The excited trio who heard monk Myunjin's statement became alert, adding one more person who they had to look after because they were no longer in their right mind. Soho just remained silent and didn't respond. I also don't know what was on Soho's mind. At night on the open sea, a ship was sailing. It turns out, Hiro and Akiko boarded a fishing boat to cross from Japan to Korea. They had arrived in Busan, someone had already picked them up and provided a car. Hiro can't wait to meet Soho, the source of his problems. Soho and the team are eating food. Juno reported that Manager Cheon had completed city planning according to Soho's request. Manager Cheon will show the design and immediately start the infrastructure construction process. Soho asked Juno to supervise and ensure that the DGB group carried out work according to the agreement while Soho was away. Jasik asked where Soho went. The answer was that Soho wanted to go to England to meet Dr. Toddler. Dongso says that Soho will not be able to leave for now. All flight and shipping routes are temporarily closed. Soho asked the cause, what was going on. Jasik explained that the sky was being ruled by wyverns, and megalodons were becoming rulers of the seas. Dongso shows the news. Wyverns flew across the eastern sea and headed toward Sanghi. The ocean is the same, megalodons and krakens attack container ships which until now cannot be found. Juno suggested to Soho to just fly straight to England. Juno was sure it wouldn't be a problem. Soho felt that it couldn't happen. If he turned into a dove, he would only be able to fly for 10 minutes. Soho asks how long he has to wait. Looking at his cell phone screen, Jasik said that the Chinese government was dealing with wyverns at the moment, it would take a month to finish it. 1 month was too long for Soho, he couldn't possibly wait that long. Dongso made a suggestion. Ask Soho to find a golden eagle and tame it. Soho became interested, curious about the appearance of this golden eagle and where he could find it. The northern region had become a paradise for wild beasts. Dongso found it on YouTube. Many awakened wild animals were trying to live. And one of those animals is the golden eagle. The scene continues. Soho immediately drives north in his car. Among all the members, Soho invited Dongso to accompany him because Dongso looked relaxed. Elsewhere, Akiko and Hiro are in the car heading to Seoul. It took another 10 hours to arrive there. Akiko asks Hiro to rest. Akiko felt that their actions could cause big problems, and of course the Koreans already knew their location. Hiro admitted that it might become a diplomatic problem between countries. Akiko felt that it wouldn't be safer if he used SPFC as a cover to face Park Soho. Hiro couldn't delay any longer. Killing Soho quietly is the best way for now. Seen on Google Maps, 1,200 meters in front of them is the Necroville Red Zone. So Akiko will take a detour. Soho and Dongso have arrived at their destination, the wilderness in the northern region. Dongso was surprised by a wild boar which was quite large in size and had a very ferocious look. Soho asked Dongso's opinion about his newest livestock. To Dongso, this wild boar looks very strong, but not very friendly. Dongso's statement provoked Soho's prank, who is currently joining the wild boar. Soho sped up wanting to hit Dongso, who immediately ran away in fear. Dongso climbed a withered tree, begged Soho to stop joking. Soho felled the tree trunk with ease, providing mental therapy to the frightened Dongso. Then, Dongso was surprised by the appearance of a large and vicious black rabbit. Dongso gave up, asking Soho if these two animals were friendly and would not attack him. Soho can't guarantee it. Black Rabbit, rank C level 2 with dimensional energy 435 points. Dongso asked for the Black Rabbit to be sent to the farm. He was frightened seeing its red eyes. Soho understood, and immediately sent the Black Rabbit home. Wild Boar, rank C level 4 with dimensional energy 455 points. Dongso asked why this one wasn't sent too. Soho needed a vehicle to explore the forest. Soho named the wild boar Yuk Gaejang. The journey continues. Soho and Dongso pass through a rocky area. Dongso rides a gray wolf. Dongso reminded Soho not to make a transformation that could pose a high risk for him. Soho asked what Dongso thought about black rabbits. Dongso thinks it's quite funny and cute. Soho reminded that the level of wild boars and rabbits is higher than Dongso. Even though they had been around for quite some time, they still had not found the golden eagle. Dongso asks how long they need this time. Soho admits that they can't use this method anymore. As long as they could find the golden eagle, they could catch it easily. Soho immediately called Miso, who was at the Awakener Bureau office, and asked for his help. Soho asked where Suyong was. He had been calling her for a long time but couldn't connect. Miso explained that Suyong is currently on duty in the Gyeongbuk area. Soho asked if he could call Suyong right then and there. Move again to the Gyeongbuk area, where a dungeon portal is located. Suyong and her team are pressed. They are running out of time because in 10 minutes there will be dungeon breaks. They couldn't help but retreat for now. They had been asking for permission to attack for quite a long time, but there was still no reply. Suyong was emotional seeing the behavior of her members. Suyong checked her cell phone. Suyong received a call, and finally after a long time they connected again. Soho greeted him in a friendly manner and asked how Suyong was doing at the moment. Suyong didn't give an answer, so Soho continued asking. Currently he is looking for a golden eagle, asking if using the Suyong skill can find it quickly. Suyong was emotional. She ended the call by calling Soho a perverted, maniacal bastard. Soho doesn't understand Suyong's strange attitude. Is there something wrong with his question? Soho asked Dongso if there was a connection between the golden eagle and the maniacal bastard. Dongso didn't give an answer but instead asked Soho to pay attention to something in front of them. A black lump that looked very scary. Dongso saw the latest news on his cell phone, saying that the cause of the black blob was starfish. Breaking news, break the outer star dungeon. This monster moves while shooting fire. When you defeat a starfish, this monster will explode and burn the area around it, making him a troublesome opponent. The black blob before was a collection of birds that were saving themselves. Soho is certainly enjoying its current situation. I have long missed the tense atmosphere in the wild. And right in front of them, the forest area there was burning with fiery fire. Dongso invites Soho to immediately save himself. Dozens of animals continue to run at full speed to save their lives. Finally Soho found his quarry, right in the middle of a flock of birds in the air. The golden eagle looks very brave and tough when compared to other types of birds. Soho was amazed to see this bird, with its extraordinary size and endurance. Golden Eagle, is at rank C level 6. Has dimensional energy of 462 points. The plan was immediately put into action. The Golden Eagle would become Soho's newest livestock. A news report shows a forest fire that occurred, and we don't know the cause of the red rooster's death. Experts concluded that these fires were caused by starfish. Dongso, who watched the news, said that everything described was just nonsense. Dongso has finished uploading his latest video, and has shocked the public with the coverage he made by risking his life. The video begins with Soho transforming into a wild boar, breaking through a burning forest area. Soho created a perimeter and isolated the burned forest area. Then used the tornado wind skill to topple the starfish and extinguish the fire. Just a few moments after it was published, Guild Soho's latest video has reached more than 400,000 views. And made Dongso himself unable to believe it. Dongso also shows the part where Soho lies helpless. Soho is exhausted and experiencing side effects due to his changes. Dongso didn't realize he was acting that part. It would be dangerous if many people knew about Soho's weakness. Dongso then approached Juno and Jasek, who wanted to raid a level 2 dungeon around the Soho Guild area. With the skills Dongso has, this raid will definitely run smoothly. Monk Myungjin was also waiting in the car. The abundant amount of money makes Dongso and others buy as many skills as possible. The aim is to run the raid dungeon as effectively and efficiently as possible with as few members as possible. It requires a variety of skills to handle various situations. Dongso will come down as soon as he finishes uploading his latest video. The video starts with an invitation from Dr. Toddler for Soho, who asked him to come to England. Continues with the story of the Earth being invaded by monsters. So that humans have lost the sky and the sea. Monsters have taken over everything. Even so, nothing could stop his steps. Soho will leave to return, asking everyone to guard his house. Soho flies on the wings of a golden eagle. A new adventure awaits him. Move to the Akiko location. She had just finished watching Soho's latest video. Hiro, who had just finished showering, immediately asked Akiko what happened. With a panicked face, Akiko announced that Park Soho was no longer in Korea. Hiro didn't understand, so Akiko immediately showed Soho's latest video. Hiro was so surprised. How could it be like this? Why did Soho suddenly go to London? If Soho is a regressor who comes from the far future, then it is impossible for Soho to go to London and would have already known about Hiro's arrival. Hiro felt that Soho was carefully avoiding him. Soho was wary of Hiro, which means that Soho is not ready to be Hiro's opponent. Because of this, Hiro plans to bring Soho into the SPFC battle. Akiko felt that they couldn't wait there long until Soho returned. Hiro said that he would bring Soho to SPFC. Hiro will provoke Soho into fighting with him. Back to the Soho venue, which is hovering in the air with the form of a golden eagle, running at full speed. But in fact, Soho is no longer able to fly far. And you can be sure that Soho won't be able to arrive in London on time. Soho was shocked by the appearance of the notification window. Soho received an offer to buy the newest skill, Fire Fairies, at a price of 700 achievement points. Get the Fire Stream skill by adding 240 points. Soho doesn't understand how it can be so expensive. Then Soho was shocked again by the appearance of a warning. There are 60 seconds remaining in the time limit for changing Soho, even though he is in the sky. On land, a bull is running away from a hunter. The two hunters chased the bull at speed. The motorbike rider's name is Uncle Jong and the one holding the gun is Chul Yang. They can't waste a single bullet. Chul Yang asked Uncle Jong to get closer to the bull so that his shot wouldn't miss. Chul Yang fired a shot and only injured the bull's leg. They had no choice but to shoot the bull's vital parts. In the air, Chul Yang saw something fall from the sky. An emergency landing occurred, sending rocks flying. This includes the bull, who was unable to withstand the wind. Uncle Jong stopped the motorbike and observed the situation. Chul Yang is curious about the object that just fell. Meanwhile, Uncle Jong doesn't care. What's important is that they get their prey. At the landing site, a ball of energy was formed. It scared Uncle Jong and Chul Yang. What exactly were they encountering? From the direction of the energy ball came a sound, the sound of a human coughing. Uncle Jong asks Chul Yang to be careful. It could be a monster that imitates human voices.
Soho comes out from behind the energy ball, complaining that his head hurts from the impact. Had thought that he would die. Uncle Jong and Chul Yong are still alert, asking if Soho is human. Uncle Jong asked again whether Soho came from the south. Soho understood that the two people in front of him came from the north. Soho introduced himself and asked again who these two people were. Chul Yong introduces himself. He is surprised and doesn't understand that Soho is still fine even though he fell from a height. Soho is still in pain, but overall he is fine. Soho asked their current location. Located in an area called Sinuiju, borders with Dandong, China, with the Yalu River as a barrier. Chul Yong asked why Soho could fall from the sky. Answering innocently, Soho said that he was flying and then fell. Chul Yong understands, seeing how Soho is physically fine after falling, he must be a strong awakener. Soho admitted that he was traveling alone. Uncle Jong understands. So he asked Soho to continue his journey and Uncle Jong also finished his business. Uncle Jong asked Chul Yong to look for the whereabouts of their prey, which was definitely not far from their current location. Soho looked for his cell phone but couldn't find it, possibly lost when it fell. After using his skills, Soho found his newest cell phone. Unfortunately, Soho's cell phone was badly damaged due to the impact. Next to Uncle Jong and Chul Yong, they found a helpless bull. It is not known whether this bull is still alive or not, because there is no movement at all. Uncle Jong and Chul Yong think of a way to bring the bull to their village. Looking for an effective way that doesn't take a lot of time while avoiding other wild animals. Soho took them by surprise. Asked if he could borrow a cell phone because his cell phone couldn't be used anymore. Chul Yong says that they have one in his village. Uncle Jong asks Chul Yong to watch his mouth carefully. Uncle Jong is wary, Soho is still a foreigner. In the village there are children and women. It would be dangerous to bring people they didn't know into their village. Soho surprised them by lifting the bull so easily. Soho offers his help, he will help move the bull as long as he lends him his cell phone. Uncle Jong and Chul Yong have no choice. Even if forced, they still won't be able to beat Soho. Chul Yong received Soho's assistance, this really helped them to bring food to the villagers. Uncle Jong reminded him of the deep trauma 1 year ago. Their village was attacked by awakeners who claimed to be explorers. Pillage and destroy villages. This experience made Uncle Jong wary. Soho asked why they were just silent. Finally Uncle Jong and Chul Yong got on the motorbike and asked Soho to follow them. Uncle Jong drives his motorbike at full speed, asking Chul Yong to hold on tight. They intend to leave Soho. But they don't know Soho, they can easily follow them anyway. Uncle Jong and Chul Yong's eyes almost fell out of place. Soho asked them to hurry up. In a village, an incident had just occurred, which destroyed the guardrail and damaged several houses. The residents saw the arrival of Uncle Jong and Chul Yong, but he didn't recognize a figure behind him. A foreign man running while carrying a bull on his head. As soon as he arrived, Uncle Jong asked what happened, why the village gate was destroyed like that. One of the residents said that their village was attacked by a winged monster. This monster shoots fire from its mouth, wreaking havoc and destroying villages. In the chaos, all residents tried to save themselves. While running away, a little girl named Hien fell and behind her a winged monster was chasing her. Finally, Hien was taken away by a winged monster without any resistance from the villagers. Uncle Jong asked where the monster was. The villagers answered that the village head and several residents had given chase. This resident said that a winged monster flew towards a rocky mountain. Uncle Jong, without thinking, immediately sped off on his motorbike and went to save Hien. Chul Yong knelt in front of Soho, asking and begging Soho to help them. Soho agrees to help as long as Chul Yong will lend me his cell phone when Soho returns. Right in front of everyone, Soho changed his form, and used the wings of a golden eagle. The villagers asked Chul Yong who the foreign man is. Chul Yong answered that the person came from the south. Wanderer, a powerful awakener. Chul Yong calls Soho the king of animals. In the middle of the forest, a resident was running and fell. He will soon be attacked by a bear. The man was blown away by one swing of the honey bear's hand, which will definitely give a fatal wound. Then the following two people also became victims of honey bears. They were villagers who went to save Hien, but was blocked by a sun bear. If this happens, no one will survive. The honey bear darted and collided with the three people easily. Never mind saving Heian, they can't even guarantee their own safety. The honey bear is ready to swing its arms and give the final attack. Soho arrived just in time. Soho's kick sent the honey bear flying. The villagers immediately asked who Soho was, the man who had eagle wings. Soho explains that he came to help at Chul Yong's request. Soho asked where Heian was. These residents didn't know it. The winged monster took Heian to a place on the mountain. Behind him, other villagers checked their condition. Soho realized that there were residents who were injured, so Soho gave them a potion. Soho understands the situation. Not a single resident knows Heian's whereabouts. The honey bear has bounced back. Soho quickly threw a kick at the honey bear's face, followed by a kick to the honey bear's stomach and closed with an uppercut kick to the honey bear's chin. The honey bear was blown away, helpless in the slightest in front of Soho. The honey bear pretended to be dead, and Soho of course noticed. Soho asked the honey bear to bow to him, and immediately the honey bear sat down and acted sweetly. Honey bear agrees to go to Soho. His name is Il Dam. He used to be the ruler of the forest, but his position was usurped by winged monsters. Soho asks the honey bear to show him the location of the winged monster to help avenge the insult the honey bear received. A moment later, Uncle Zhang just arrived at the location and asked what happened. Soho said goodbye and promised to bring a child named Heian. Soho dashes forward with the honey bear to defeat the winged monster. Uncle Zhang can only pray that Heian is still safe and fine. Move to a cave in a rocky mountain. The winged monster in question is a wyvern. His body was badly injured and he was about to eat a deer. In the corner of the cave, there was a girl, Heian, hiding. Wyvern turned its attention to Heian, and frightened Heian with its roar. The honey bear arrives at the mouth of the cave, ready to beat the wyvern. From behind him appeared Soho in the form of a golden eagle. Then Soho uses his transformation skill and joins the honey bear. Soho changed into hybrid form and his right hand hit the wyvern's back. Then Soho threw the wyvern out of the cave. Soho asks Heian to calm down. He came to save her. Wyvern almost fell off the edge of the cliff, holding on with great difficulty. The wyvern's dimensional energy is much higher than Soho's, asking if Soho can tame it. The system brings good news. Taming can be done as long as the wyvern's constitution is below 10%. Soho understood, and then landed a punch that hit the wyvern. Currently the wyvern constitution is 16%. Soho was unable to withstand the emotional turmoil of the sun bear. His hatred for the wyvern was so high, making Soho unable to control himself. Soho threw the wyvern back and made it even more helpless. Feeling that he had enough, Soho stopped his fusion in the air. Soho sends honey bears to his farm through a portal. The wyvern fell from above and hit the hill wall. The constitution has been at 9%. And it was time for Soho to tame the wyvern, who accepted him without the slightest resistance. Soho immediately sent his elves to heal the seriously injured wyvern. Soho landed on the wyvern's back and rode on it. Soho was successful. He finally got a new vehicle to go to England. Uncle Zhang has returned to the village. He and the village head are still maintaining an increasing vigilance. All the residents saw a winged monster rushing towards the village. Chul Yong and other residents were ready with their weapons. Will not let the same incident happen again. The residents woke up when they saw someone on top of the winged monster. Soho, who rode the wyvern, returned with Heian. Soho landed safely without difficulty. Heian is Uncle Zhang's daughter, who cried with joy when he saw that his daughter was fine. After that, the residents partied while eating the results of the hunt this afternoon. Soho noticed children playing with the wyvern. When Soho tames a wild animal, Soho can see his pet's past. A group of wyverns originating from Mount Baekdu were almost destroyed by a joint attack by the Chinese and Russian alliance. Wyvern managed to escape from the battlefield. Starving and badly injured, the wyvern found the honey bear's cave and took it over. The village chief thanked Soho. Not only did it provide food, but Soho also repaired homes and healed the wounded. The village head told about his past. When a major disaster occurred, the North Korean government was destroyed and its citizens had to struggle to survive. More and more residents are fleeing and moving towards China. The only way is to cross the river. Many refugees cannot survive due to not getting food. and also being attacked by wild animals and looters. If only they had continued their journey to China, today's events would not have happened. It's true that there is no longer a safe place in the world, especially in China. The country is so big that there are definitely just as many monsters and looters. The Chinese government created a barrier to protect the city of Beijing from monster attacks. There is no guarantee that they will be able to live comfortably in Beijing, with a different language, and not having connections definitely makes it even more difficult. But that place is the only hope for refugees. Soho remembered Miso's previous words, that one day, many refugees from the north would come to the Soho area asking for protection. As the night was getting late, the village head ended their conversation. The village head has prepared a room for Soho to stay in. Soho refused because he had to immediately go somewhere. The village head expressed his thanks, apologized for taking up Soho's time. The village head asked Chul Yong to take the cell phone from his house. A cell phone has been given, which of course Soho will use to help him get to England. As payment, Soho gave so many blood crystals. Soho asked the village head to use it as best as possible for the needs of the village. Soho thanks him for his help. Soho immediately left for England with Wyvern. The scene continues. The news reports that the Chinese and Russian alliance has succeeded in destroying all the existing Wyverns. Then in Korea, there was a dungeon break on the Banpo Bridge. Giant ants appear to wreak havoc there. Okita Hero showed his action. He moved quickly to clear the herd of ants. Collaborate with Sheila Guild. Hero cleans up all the monsters there. In Russia, an awakener who rides a wyvern is known as a dragon knight. Join the Russian tank army to defeat the scorpion monsters. Furthermore, the dragon knights also helped in cleaning up the ogre monsters. Based on the information obtained, this dragon knight is a Korean awakener, Park Soho. In Korea, Hero starts his press conference. The reporter asked why Hero came to Korea. Hero explains that he will prove and show that Park Soho is a fraud. For Hero, Park Soho is just an awakener with taming abilities. There was never an inspection carried out to see Soho's capabilities. Hero is sure he wants the government strategy to get a lot of profit. Hero declares an open challenge to Soho. If Soho wants to prove himself, Hero asks Soho to fight in the SPFC arena. Hero's provocation actually made Soho even more famous. Soho is currently in Russia, taking a photo with the president who was riding on the wyvern. Dongso and Juno, who follow the news, don't understand why Soho is in Russia, even though the goal is England. The bureau chief called Juno and asked where Soho was. Juno said that he couldn't contact Soho. Almost every time the bureau chief called Juno and Dongso to ask for the latest updates about Soho, they already felt very disturbed by this. In addition, the bureau's efforts to discover the secret of Soho's power also failed to produce results, leaving Captain Lee in despair. Their current focus is on getting blood crystals only. Dongso also did not expect that Soho would become so famous and increasingly desired by many countries. The news also conveys the anxiety that residents are experiencing. Many people are afraid that a level 7 dungeon will appear in Korea. Many residents wanted to move to the Soho Guild area when their location was determined to be Sector 13 in Seoul. The Soho Guild will get tax exemption and cooperation with the Bureau will be easier. Juno wants to strengthen the protective walls of the Soho area. The government wants to make the Soho Guild the leading team to face the emergence of level 7 dungeons in Korea. Juno wasn't sure they would be able to take care of Sector 13 while raiding dungeon level 7. They had to wait for Soho to return to make a decision. When the level 7 dungeon appears, and the Soho team handles it, then they will get the best reward commensurate with their lives. Currently, Korea is in chaos due to Okita Hero's provocation and the development of the Sector 13 issue. Meanwhile, Soho is having fun taking photos in Russia. In a field, a red jeep is trying to escape from being chased by a monster. The driver was Dr. Toddler, who was chatting with Soho on the telephone. There are 3 giant golem monsters chasing Dr. Toddler's car. Soho has found him, and offers to help him defeat the 3 golem monsters. Soho shot his fire to take down one of the golems. Then used the same skill, Fire Tornado. Soho took down the second golem monster, which crashed and dropped the third golem monster. Soho kicked the head of the last golem monster and crushed it. Soho didn't expect that the golem monster was so weak, it didn't match its appearance. Dr. Toddler got out of the car and was so happy to watch the Soho action up close. Dr. Toddler approached and was surprised by the wyvern that landed. Russians tattooed wyverns on their bodies to differentiate them from other wyverns. Dr. Toddler expressed his thanks to Soho. After looking closely, Dr. Toddler he could feel the aura of a dragon knight from Soho. Dr. Toddler has prepared the best translation tool for regular chatting with Soho. Soho did not expect that the location where he was standing was the city of London, which had been destroyed. The situation in the country is also not good, plus places like this will become even more dangerous at night. Dr. Toddler invites Soho to immediately go with him. Soho sends the wyvern back home using the portal. The appearance of the wyvern was immediately greeted by livestock, black rabbits, wild boars, and packs of wolves. This also surprised the construction workers. The wyvern that they had only seen on the news was now before them. Soho has continued his journey in his car from Dr. Toddler. Seeing how a monster the size of a wyvern can enter the portal, Dr. Toddler is sure that Soho's farm has risen to level 3. Soho praises Dr. Toddler's insight. Soho has become the center of world attention. Makes Dr. Toddler really want to meet him. Soho feels that the toddler wants to make him a reading rabbit. The city of London has truly been destroyed. Soho asked where Dr. Toddler laboratory was located. Since London was destroyed, the capital of England has moved to New Dover, and their Dr. Toddler lab is located. Dr. Toddler's purpose in coming to London was to look for material for his research. Some time ago there was a massive bombing in the city of London to eradicate monsters. As a result, Dr. Toddler can collect lots of blood crystals and monster corpses. Currently Dr. Toddler is creating a permanent teleportation portal, which works in a similar way to the Soho Animal Farm portal. If this is successful, then circling the world can be done in a matter of minutes, even though the air and sea areas are controlled by monsters. Territory that has been controlled will not be that easy to take back. If you don't prepare from the start, then surviving will become even more difficult. The car carrying Soho and Dr. Toddler was crossing the bridge. Dr. Toddler feels he talks too much. He asks why Soho wants to meet him. Soho asked Dr. Toddler to be careful when driving, because there was something dangerous in front of them. The road they were on was lifted into the air. And right from under him a whale came out, which was then followed by the megalodon shark. These two giant fish are fighting in the ocean, and Soho accidentally gets dragged into it. The two fish went back into the water, including Soho and Dr. Toddler. The defense forces have moved. They saw a red jeep go into the water. This muscular awakener is Queen David, ranked first in England. David knows that the previous car belonged to Dr. Toddler, so she decided to save him. David had dived into the sea, and began searching. David found Dr. Toddler's red car. But after looking and checking, there was no one in the car. David continued her search and saw that the whale was being chased by the megalodon. This huge megalodon was ready to pounce on the whale, but the whale's maneuvers managed to save it from the megalodon's sharp teeth. The whale continued to increase speed to get out of the sea, and the megalodon continued to chase behind it. The whale comes out of the water, and the megalodon is right behind it. Soho and Dr. Toddler hitch a ride on a whale's fin. The defense troops couldn't attack the megalodons because they saw them. Dr. Toddler resigned himself to ending up being food for megalodon. Soho looked at the stats of the megalodon shark, which was still at rank D level 3. Soho uses the tornado skill which wraps around the megalodon. This attack made the megalodon dance in the air. David and the defense force recognized the Soho attack. Previously they had only seen it on YouTube and believed that it was a dragon knight. Soho continued using the fire tornado skill to roast the megalodon whale. The defense troops were again amazed by the abilities of the dragon knights. Dr. Toddler was no less surprised. Soho defeats the megalodon with fire tornado skills and Dr. Toddler can see it directly. The Pope thanked Soho for avenging him for losing his mother. As soon as the megalodon landed and crashed, Soho gets a level increase and of course also a new skill. Move to a house on the edge of the hill. Dr. Toddler's house. Soho praises the location of Dr. Toddler's house, a truly beautiful place. They were also presented with an extraordinary view when the whales came out of the sea. If the whale does not meet Soho, it is certain that the whale will become extinct due to attacks by sea monsters. Soho just does what it needs to do. After all, they are currently at the end of the world. England has been pushed and pushed to the edge of the land, there is no longer any place to escape. Currently the British government is carrying out a project to build a protective wall. Dr. Toddler said that he still couldn't forget the incident that happened last night. Dr. Toddler can see that Soho can not only communicate with wild animals but also tame them, 2 times seeing firsthand the use of the fire tornado skill, which until now can only be seen by Dr. Toddler on YouTube. Until now, there has been no awakener who has Soho abilities, plus Soho can use the power of the 4 elements, fire, water, wind and earth. Dr. Toddler asks what kind of life Soho lived when he was thrown into another world. For Soho it's just an ordinary life, surviving in the harsh kingdom of wild animals. Soho asked if Dr. Toddler created the dimensional energy measuring device. How does it work? Dr. Toddler confirmed this, and asked again what made Soho curious. Soho said that when he was taking dimensional energy measurements, many foreign eyes were watching him. Soho also tells about the planet he was stranded on. Currently it has been split into very small level 4 dungeons. What happened to the planet and where are all the previous Soho friends? Soho also asked that he had not aged at all and was still alive today. The reason Soho came to England was to get answers from the experts. Dr. Toddler understands what Soho means. And the reason why he has recently become interested in Korean is also connected to the Soho question. Dr. Toddler invites Soho to visit his laboratory. It is deep underground, and has the resistance to withstand a nuclear explosion. Dr. Toddler's private lab is also a government facility. Soho was the first outsider to enter this place. They arrived at their destination. Is this place where Soho will find all the answers to his questions? Soho enters Dr. Toddler's laboratory. The place is really messy. Even so, this is a perfect facility belonging to the British government, which has produced many discoveries. Complete equipment to perform in-depth analysis and testing. This tool can visualize all kinds of objects when entering the item code. This tool can also analyze sound. Next there is a type of grain found in the dungeon. It is currently being examined in more detail. Dr. Toddler also showed the journal he found in the dungeon, which have been collected in the last 2 months. All this is very surprising. The language and writing of Earthlings are found in foreign dungeons. Of all the dungeons entered in the last few weeks, and all of them are written in Korean. Soho was very surprised to hear this. This whole information shook him. Soho asked how many dungeons were found. Soho really didn't know about this. Dr. Toddler shows everything. The new level 3 dungeon appeared in Berlin, the level 4 dungeon in Oslo, and the level 5 dungeon in Athens. There are 8 dungeons in Europe, 2 dungeons in Africa, and 4 in Asia, including one that recently appeared in Korea. The dungeon levels are different, and all dungeons appear at different times. Soho asked if it was possible for a shattered planet to be copied into a dungeon. According to Dr. Toddler, this theory is the most reasonable for guessing about the beginning of the dungeon. Soho continued to ask about the planet's original inhabitants, especially about its star herd. Dr. Toddler admits that he doesn't know at all. Dr. Toddler hopes that when he meets Soho, he can get help in finding the truth behind the creation and destruction of the incomprehensible dungeon. And Soho is the person who wrote the writing in the dungeon. Makes Dr. Toddler very happy to be able to meet him. Dr. Toddler wants Soho to work together to find the answer together. Soho was disappointed. His high hopes were instantly crushed. He didn't expect that Dr. Toddler didn't know anything about all his questions. Dr. Toddler wants to show something. He knows that Soho is curious about dimensional energy measuring devices. Dr. Toddler started looking for objects he wanted to show in Soho. And found it, a stone. Soho didn't understand what Dr. Toddler meant. Dr. Toddler showed me in Soho, this thing is called a memory stone. Soho was asked to hold the stone while closing his eyes. Soho followed all the instructions given by Dr. Toddler. And a friendly sensation approached Soho. The eyes that were watching Soho appeared there. Soho's expression immediately changed. Dr. Toddler asked how it felt. Did Soho feel anything? Soho told about dozens of eyes staring at him. According to Dr. Toddler, the more sensitive an awakener is, the more uncomfortable they will feel. Soho asked if Dr. Toddler made a dimensional energy measuring device using that object. Dr. Toddler did make the tools, but he wasn't the one who created the stone. the memory stone fell from the sky along with the invasion of monsters and the appearance of the portal, the day a great disaster occurred. It took quite a long time to find out that this stone was useful for measuring dimensional energy. Europe took a big hit due to the disaster, but from the researchers' point of view, this was also a blessing. Finding the God Stone is the main key in the development of the dimensional industry. With the information contained in the God Stone, researchers succeeded in creating many useful tools. One of them is a stone case. Dr. Toddler successfully processes the memory stone and connects it to the stone case. This tool is used to display various kinds of information when touched by the awakener. Although currently it is still limited to standard information. Dr. Toddler asked Soho to touch the tool, and Soho put his palm down. The results are amazing. Soho's dimensional energy has surpassed rank B in just 3 months. According to initial expectations, this happened because Soho was an irregular, but still the development was extraordinary. Dr. Toddler also has an awakener physical measurement tool, and asks Soho to try it. This tool is also made using memory stones, but has a different function. The memory stone collects a lot of information from the awakener, and recently researchers realized that memory stones could be used to check awakeners' physical information. With this measuring tool, researchers can see the strength and agility of an awakener. What makes the classification of awakeners possible is not only the level of dimensional energy. And in the future, humans can form even better fighting teams. Dr. Toddler asked what Soho thought about this tool. Soho realized that none of the awakeners could see his own or other people's stats. Currently only Soho itself can do it. Dr. Toddler has completed the prototype, and the official introduction will take place tomorrow. It would be an honor if Soho were the first to try it. Soho was willing to help. He put his hand on the tool. But then the tool errors out, not displaying the information it should. Dr. Toddler panicked, didn't understand what was happening, even though previously there was no problem at all. Dr. Toddler immediately contacted his colleagues to cancel the introduction of his newest tool the next day. There was a slight problem that had not been discovered. Dr. Toddler needed time to fix it. Dr. Toddler apologized to Soho. He couldn't continue his conversation with Soho because he had a lot of things to do. Soho didn't mind it, continuing to ask where the memory stone came from. Dr. Toddler answered that the memory stone came from a mine on the planet Aruka. Soho was surprised to hear that planet Aruka would be his newest destination. Moving to Korea, Gunwo is having fun playing with the little monk. Then he had guests. Hiro came to the Soho Guild area, still in a condition full of red spots from the previous fight. Gunwo asked who the strange figure in front of him was. But Hiro didn't answer, instead confirming that the little boy in front of him was Gunwo, one of the dangerous criminals of the future. Chapter 64, back to Soho who is still discussing planet Aruka. The memory stone is a common item on the planet Aruka, emitting the same energy. If blood crystals are like batteries, then memory stones are like transmission tools. It is said that the high elves of the planet Aruka can communicate from one end of the planet to the other using memory stones. High elves are an upper-class race that leads on the planet Aruka. The dimensional energy measuring device was just a bonus. The researchers' target was the communication device used by the high elves. Researchers want to make a similar tool for use on Earth. The end result, researchers hope to be able to create a portal that will connect anyone, anywhere and at any time across planet Earth. The high elves of planet Aruka can use memory stones to see the dimensional energy level, rank and skills of an awakener. So if Soho meets a high elf, then all his personal information will be leaked automatically. Soho was curious whether what the high elf saw was the same as the status window he saw. Such as information from Dr. Toddler, rank F level 0, a scientist and diving expert. Then Soho found that the system had an error again. I'm frustrated by this. Dr. Toddler apologized to Soho. He had to immediately repair his newest equipment and it would take quite a long time. Dr. Toddler has also asked for a guide to accompany Soho, who will show him around the city. Dr. Toddler left Soho, promising to finish his business soon. Soho, who was alone, began to pay attention to his surroundings and became interested in the information on the monitor screen. Information gathered from the dungeon. It is said that the story in the writing spans around 200 years. Soho looked back at the memory stones displayed there. Taking one of them, Soho is convinced that the high-elf planet Aruka knows about the Watching Eye. It is also possible to know the secret behind the Great Disaster, and the cause of the dungeon's appearance. Soho's target has been set. He wants to go to planet Aruka to meet the High Elves. A Caucasian man came, introduced himself as William. He will be Soho's guide while in London. Soho made a request. There was a place he wanted to visit. Soho pointed to the location on the monitor and stated that he wanted to go there. William immediately confirmed the location, which was south of London. Check again whether Soho intends to do a dungeon raid there. That's precisely what Soho is all about, and William is happy to help. Dr. Toddler has done an examination, and found no problems. But why is it that when Soho tries, an error occurs? Dr. Toddler has a guest, the strongest awakener in England. Miss David, she came to meet the Dragon Knight. David asked where he was. Dr. Toddler explains that Soho has left with William. Because there was a slight problem, Dr. Toddler had to solve it immediately. Coincidentally, David was there. Dr. Toddler asked him to try his newest tool. David put her hand on the portable measuring device, and the results came out immediately. Her strength is at 839 points and her agility is 159 points. The tool works well. Dr. Toddler is also proud of David's stats. The strongest S-rank Awakener in England. David felt that this was not enough to satisfy her. If only she could get 4 digits, she would announce it to the whole world. David immediately said goodbye because she wanted to follow him to where Soho was. Promised to visit again another time. Dr. Toddler was shocked by David's previous words. 4-digit number of energy measurement results. The limit of the dimensional energy meter is 3 digits, 999 points. By increasing the limit to 9,999 points, Soho's physical data will be obtained. After processing it, the toddler was surprised by the amazing results. Move to where Soho is, who is in the car. Seeing a monster that is being weakened and about to be captured. Those beastly monsters will be used as guinea pigs. And not far from there, Soho arrived at its destination. A portal that has been monitored very closely. William explained that the dungeon they were aiming for was at level 5, filled with giant grasshopper monsters. And there were 18 hours left until the break occurred. The monitor is showing a comedy sketch. William said that the male actor was the best comedian in England. Many large guilds there used the services of public figures to increase popularity. Soho also saw a monster shooting fire, setting fire to a helicopter. William explained that the area around them had become a battlefield. There was a dungeon break that was difficult to handle. The burning helicopter crashed right in front of Soho. A large explosion occurred and knocked off the helicopter's propeller. Soho captured it easily and saved many people there. William expressed his thanks, and also that he had completed the procedures. Soho could enter the dungeon safely. Behind them, Godzilla is on a rampage and helicopter gunships are trying to stop him. William also said that a team, the Phoenix team, had been prepared to help Soho. One of the best combat teams in England, containing members with rank A. The team captain introduced himself. His name is Robert Cole, captain of the Phoenix 2 team. Soho ignored him. There was no need to do that. Soho wants to raid the dungeon alone. William looked panicked and didn't understand. Soho asked that no one follow him. Soho ignored all the warnings given by William. Soho found that the system window had not returned to normal. With Soho's level at rank B, is the livestock capacity limit going to be 1,400 head? Soho will add a variety of livestock. William was pale with fright. How could it be like this? Ask Robert what they do best. Wouldn't it be better if they went straight in following Soho? Robert felt he had no reason to step in when Soho didn't need his help. The Phoenix team feels underestimated by Soho. Even though Soho is a Dragon Knight, Soho shouldn't enter alone like that. William apologized to Robert for the inconvenience, making time for them to come in the midst of his busy schedule. Robert didn't mind, they were also on standby. If something happens to Soho, then William's career will definitely be over. A car arrived there, whose arrival everyone did not expect. David got out of the car. Her arrival was immediately greeted enthusiastically by William. David didn't expect there to be so many people there. Asking why Robert was just standing still, instead of having to hunt down the monsters that were roaming around. Robert even asked back, why was England's #1 hero who was busy saving the world in a place like this? David became emotional, whether Robert was challenging her. Robert is not so stupid as to dare to provoke the UK's #1 and 9th in the world. Robert said goodbye because he had to immediately carry out his mission. They will meet again at the party which will be held soon. David immediately met William, who looked very frustrated. Ask who caused it like that and where the Dragon Knight is. William answered that Soho had just entered the dungeon alone. The Dragon Knight just walked in without any preparation and no one could stop him. William asked what he should do. William didn't want to lose his job. David laughed so hard, it made William ask what he meant. David knew very well that the Dragon Warrior was extraordinary, and William didn't seem to know anything about it. William was worried because this was a level 5 dungeon. David will wait in Soho at the Baskin Robbins ice cream shop. She asked William to call her when Soho returned. But then, they were both surprised by Soho's return so quickly. Where the Phoenix team was, they were checking the equipment. Previously, there had been 3 teams who entered dungeon level 5, and all teams had accidents there. This level 5 dungeon is filled with very large grasshopper insect monsters. These soldiers were afraid, what if a dungeon break occurred while they were in the dungeon? Then Robert and his team were surprised by returning to Soho in such a short time. David and William immediately welcomed Soho's arrival. Soho recognized David, the muscular awakener he saw at that time. Then they were surprised by a raging fire pig, hitting anything in front of him. David is emotional, because a fire pig has just destroyed her favorite ice cream shop. David threw a punch that landed on the fire pig's head. The attack caused the fire pig to be pushed back and almost injured the workers around it. The Phoenix team soldiers acknowledged David's greatness in being able to finish off the fire pigs in one blow. Soho also praised David's impressive strength. David introduces herself to Soho. From the first time we met, David wanted to get to know Soho. At that time, Soho easily turned Megalodon into livestock food. David felt that from that moment on, she realized that Soho was just like her. David asked if Soho knew how David got the muscular arms she has now. Soho doesn't care, and he doesn't want to know either. David got all her muscles thanks to bananas. David had seen a carving in a cave, showing a Soho practicing using a large banana on a tree. Everyone laughed at the news, but David was different. She understands the methods used by Soho, because David also practiced using bananas. Previously, David was just a transport worker on a banana plantation. Every day she had to transport bananas, and it was bananas that gave her strength when she was in difficult times. David's life story makes Soho remember his past. Bananas also saved his life when he was hungry. When everyone in the world laughed at him, Soho didn't expect someone to admit it. Soho really admires David's figure. Without caring about dimensional energy, David felt that they could defeat the monsters with physical strength alone. David wants to see how Soho fights against monsters with just his physical strength alone. Soho accepted it. Soho liked David's very interesting idea. Without wasting any time, Soho and David entered the dungeon, leaving William alone. There were also many journalists and local residents who witnessed this. Not long after, the news spread throughout the world. Dragon Knight, Park Soho, and David Silva completed dungeon level 5, 15 times in 40 minutes. Save England from the dungeon breaks tragedy. The Awakener Association of England and the Phoenix Guild of the Lorisons Company would like to give special thanks to Soho. The Queen of England also wanted to knight Soho. In Korea, in the Awakener Bureau office, Miso and the bureau chief are shocked by this news. The bureau chief looked very stressed, because he had not heard from Soho for a long time. Miso can't contact him, and Soho just saved a country. The bureau chief is increasingly stressed after not getting any results from the level 4 dungeon in the Soho area. It is estimated that the appearance of the level 7 dungeon will not be long. The bureau chief panicked about how they would handle it. If only Korea had 100 people park Soho, then everything would be easy. Miso felt something was strange. Previously the bureau chief said he would immediately move countries when the level 7 dungeon appeared. Miso felt strange. Did the bureau chief suddenly fall in love with his homeland again, or maybe there was something else that Miso didn't know? The bureau chief asked her to stop. The most important thing right now is a way to bring Soho back to Korea. What if Soho settles in another country? Miso asked the bureau chief not to worry. Park Soho will immediately return to Korea as soon as he sees the viral news on the internet. There was a new video on Guild Soho's YouTube channel a few hours ago. Okita Hiro has made a big mess. The bureau chief immediately watched it and was shocked by what happened in the video. A party was held to celebrate the completion of Dungeon Level 5. Fireworks decorated the night sky of London. David is grateful to Soho, he has gained an invaluable experience. Soho also praised David. Among all the awakeners that Soho knows, David has the best punch. David continued to ask whether Soho had met Sylvia in Russia. She is a quite famous tamer awakener. After hearing about the greatness of Soho in Russia, Sylvia went there after leaving all her work. Besides that, there were many tamer awakeners who also went to Russia. This is because of the figure of the dragon warrior. Never before has an awakener succeeded in taming a wyvern. For Soho it's an easy thing, and there's nothing special there. David asked Soho not to fall for the provocation made by the champion, Okita Hiro. Soho doesn't understand what David means. It seems Soho doesn't follow the news that is going viral. Hiro says that he doesn't need one hit to beat Soho. Soho is increasingly confused, he doesn't understand. Plus he doesn't know Okita Hiro. David explained that the man was world number 1. Originally he was Korean with the real name Lee Sung-woo. Soho didn't care, he had never heard of that name either. For David, Hiro is nothing more than a cruel psychopath bastard. David asks Soho to avoid Hiro as much as possible. Okita Hiro, world number 1, has done so many good things and is recognized as a hero. At that time, David wanted to make friends with Hiro. Then David had the opportunity to test Hiro's strength in a duel at SPFC. David was defeated by Hiro through an extraordinary fierce fight. David admits defeat, Hiro is really strong. David admitted that the fight just now was the best in his life. But instead of stopping, Hiro continued to deliver a fatal attack on David. At that moment, David saw the cruel and evil demon in Hiro through his eyes. As a result, David had to undergo 8 operations to repair the damage to his left hand. After that, many challengers died in the fight against Hiro. In the video recording, Hiro still kills his opponent even though he is certain to win. Even for opponents who have surrendered, Hiro shows no mercy. This was not the right action. Even though he didn't know the exact reason, David asked Soho to be provoked by Hiro. Soho was confused. What was wrong with making Hiro go that far to provoke him? Soho finds a surprising news article. Lee Sung-woo attacked the Soho area, and argued that his actions were just self-defense. Soho is shaken, its territory has just been attacked by an unknown person. Soho then called Juno and confirmed what was happening at home. Juno explained that Hiro suddenly broke into the Soho area and threatened to act anarchically if no one came out to meet him. 2 patrol wolves became victims. Soho felt that Hiro had gone too far, and the warning alarm should be active. But Soho found that he couldn't get a signal. The system is currently having an error. Soho continued to ask Juno what he was doing. Juno was afraid, he didn't dare to fight Hiro, the world number 1. Soho, who was emotional, ended his call. Soho will give special training to his team members until they beg for his forgiveness. Soho said goodbye to David, he had to leave immediately. David asked Soho not to meet Hiro, it was very clear that this was a trap. I don't know what the intention behind Hiro's actions is, but the purpose is very clear. Hiro provokes the Awakener, and challenges him to a duel. There will definitely be bad things that happen during the game. Soho doesn't care. He asked David to send his greetings to Dr. Toddler and William. Soho summoned the wyvern, but nothing happened. His behavior attracted everyone's attention. Dr. Toddler also saw Soho's behavior from his monitor screen. Even though Dr. Toddler hopes that Soho can stay longer. But it's a shame, David has said things that shouldn't be said. Dr. Toddler has prepared a surprise for Soho, soon the system will be available for use. The countdown appears around Soho, 3, 2 and 1. The system has been repaired, the protective tree wall received damage. 2 wolves became victims. Soho immediately summoned the wyvern through the portal. His appearance shocked all the invited guests. Dr. Toddler also saw this beautiful view. the calculation was successful. The skill recovery time used by Soho was 24 hours. The stone that was touched by Soho was previously made using a combination of memory stone and urukimite. Soho masters 3 elements. Only the water element is not yet visible, an ability similar to that of the high elves from the planet Uruka. Soho's status window errored after touching urukimite. Makes all skills that use dimensional energy unable to be used within 24 hours. In this way, Dr. Toddler hopes to be able to evolve the human awakening and leveling system to follow the elf system on the planet Uruka. British Security Director, Gilbert Reynolds, called David and asked where Soho is. David answered that Soho had just left, and all the information he had obtained was already stored in memory stones. Gilbert understood, even though Soho was gone sooner than expected. Gilbert asked David to immediately return to headquarters. Gilbert immediately called Dr. Toddler and asked about the test results. Dr. Toddler said that everything was as expected. Gilbert concluded that if the stone they used had an effect on Soho, it would probably also have an effect on the elves from the planet Uruka. Dr. Toddler confirmed it. Gilbert was quite happy, because he had long wanted to repay the elves for being so arrogant. Dr. Toddler reminds that the planet Uruka's elves are allies, asking Gilbert to take wiser action. For Gilbert there are no permanent allies. In an unknown time, the elves of planet Uruka could turn into enemies of humans. The crime rate among awakeners is also increasing, making them have to act immediately to overcome this. Dr. Toddler understands, but he needs time to complete some of the needed repairs. Dr. Toddler found that Soho's average physical stats were at 8,000 points. The tools he made will not be able to stop a monster like Soho. At the Soho location, he flew full speed back to Korea. The wild side in him does not accept Hiro's actions of invading territory. Soho will make Hiro regret his actions. In Korea, the Soho team members are gathering. Dongso and Jasik asked what Soho said, whether Soho would come home. Juno showed a text message from Soho, and they were in big trouble. Special training until you wish you were dead. Monk Myungjin immediately offered prayers for their peace. Jasik and Dongso asked what they did wrong. Juno cried, because his opponent was world number 1, there was nothing they could do. The news on TV shows Juno, Jasik and Dongso meeting Hiro. The headline was quite embarrassing, Soho Guild is a disgrace to the world. Comments from netizens are really appetizing, accusing Soho of being scared to the point of running away, embarrassing Soho Guild members and many others. Dongso found that the video in the news was taken from his YouTube video. Monk Myungjin was depressed because he was considered a fake monk. Juno cried, no one supported them, even though the Soho Guild was the victim. Jasik doesn't understand why Dongso uploaded the video. Dongso's goal was to get support and sue Hiro. Monk Myungjin asked his colleagues to be calm when facing problems like this. They also can't control comments from netizens. But Dongso didn't accept it, the words of a drunk monk who made a fuss with ordinary citizens and was taken home by the bureau. Monk Myungjin reasoned that he wanted to help the owner's business, and accidentally meets a monster disguised as a human. Juno asked everyone to calm down, no matter what, when Soho comes home, their fate will be under threat. Soho was really angry about this. According to the monk, it would be better for them not to see each other for now and calm themselves down. Dongso supports this suggestion, but not Jasik and Juno. Jasik asked Dongso how the bureau responded to this. The bureau did nothing, only regretted that this had happened. Jasik was emotional. Foreigners enter the country illegally, and cause harm. But the bureau did not take any action on this matter. Dongso is shocked by the news that Hiro has returned to Japan. Jasik couldn't take it anymore, he was going to the Awakener Bureau office to talk about this. Juno asked him to calm down. Maybe the bureau thinks that this could provoke problems between countries. But Hiro is part of the Japanese Defense Force, this is definitely a problem between countries. The South Korean government must feel humiliated, unable to do anything to protect its citizens. The Korean government also did not explain anything about supporting the Soho Guild, which was the victim of Hiro's actions. Dongso gets news, the American government comments that the Soho Guild should move to a superpower that protects them like America. Juno felt that this happened because the government was weak and did not dare to act. Jasik also felt that they should move countries. Dongso emphasized that this problem would be resolved when Soho returned. Reminds me of what Hiro said at that time. Hiro threatens, asking Soho to meet him within 10 days, otherwise he will raise Soho's guild clean. Juno, Dongso and Jasik can't promise that. Soho cannot be contacted. Remembering that incident, Jasik still shuddered with fear. Even though he was insulted, his body wouldn't move. There was nothing they could do at that time. If they forced them to fight Hiro, you can be sure that their lives will end. Fortunately, Gunwo and the monk kids are in good condition. Even though he was a little shocked, he was in perfect health. Currently, Gunwo spends more time in his room watching TV. Gunwo watches a video about Hiro, his actions helping the Sheila Guild when facing monsters. Gunwo didn't expect to meet the world's #1 awakener. Dongso is sure that when Soho comes home, he will definitely beat Hiro. But before that there was something they had to do. Juno asked Dongso to help him. Juno and Dongso checked out the Soho area, believing there was a tracking device left behind to monitor the Soho Guild. Juno received a call from the bureau. Miso expressed her thanks for the Soho Guild's cooperation. They had cleared the level 4 dungeon with great help from the Soho Guild. Juno felt that this was in accordance with their contractual agreement. Miso asked Juno not to hate the government for the problems that were happening. Juno understood and hung up the phone. Juno invited Dongso to check out the livestock area. Dongso reminded Juno not to be rude to Miso. So far he had helped the Soho Guild a lot. That's true, but for Juno, enemies usually come from those closest to him. They arrive at the farm, whose inhabitants have now increased in number. They watched a practice match between a black rabbit and a sun bear. The members of the Soho Guild family have increased in number, but their whereabouts are unknown. Dongso reads the news that Soho was seen riding a whale in the South China Sea, and defeated 4 megalodon sharks with an ice tornado. Their faces stiffened. Soho was already close to Korea, and would be back soon. On his way home, Soho continued farming, and leveled up quickly, to be able to freeze the ocean to defeat sea monsters. Juno found a new pet he had never seen before. A pair of monkeys relaxing on a tree. They realize that the monkey is from Japan, which means Soho is there. On the news, Soho enters Tokyo City while riding a wyvern. Soho and his wyvern landed in the middle of Tokyo, making residents panic and run for their lives. Soho shouted, calling Hiro. Ask him to come out and not hide. News reports that Soho entered Japan illegally. Even though it caused a stir in the city center, Soho did not cause any damage. Japanese Defense Forces, the Awakener Crime Handling Division immediately acted and surrounded Soho. This man is Lieutenant Saseki, ranked 15th in the world. Came specifically to handle Soho. The Japanese Defense Department moved quickly. All movements in Soho are being watched. Team 1's tank battalion has been prepared. Likewise with combat drones that have been flown. Soho's position has also been locked from the sky. A satellite is ready in position to attack. Deputy Chairman of the Japanese Awakener Federation, Daigo, conveying that they have been trying to get Soho. Japanese Minister of Defense, Kurosawa, want to see if Soho deserves to be a part of them. Lieutenant Saseki is also on the scene. Soho kept shouting for Hiro. Saseki walked casually towards Soho. Saseki said that Soho would be arrested, enter the country illegally, cause chaos, give fear to ordinary citizens and violate other laws. Soho doesn't care. Soho asks if the man in front of him is Hiro. Saseki introduces himself, claiming to be a member of the police. Saseki asked Soho to get off the wyvern and cooperate with him. Soho asks Saseki to leave. What he is looking for is Hiro, not anyone else. Saseki doesn't accept Soho's attitude. For him all Korean people like to be rude. Saseki uses skills. Binding skill, a skill that binds Soho's movements with black thread. Saseki moved closer, asking Soho not to move because the restraints would get stronger. Saseki jumped in front of Soho, ready to arrest Soho by force for his actions. But what Saseki imagined was not as beautiful as he hoped. Soho cut all the black threads and flew the Saseki easily. Saseki managed to land safely, not understanding what was happening. Soho was quite entertaining. This is how it should be. When one's territory is attacked, a warrior must risk his life. The Soho wyvern roars, releasing a powerful energy pressure that blows away all the black Saseki threads. Saseki admits that the power of Soho, the dragon warrior, is indeed as strong as rumor. If Saseki hadn't cast a debuff on Soho's attack, then his face would have been crushed. Soho asks Saseki to be aware of his position, asking him to leave immediately. Saseki steps forward to attack. He will sue Soho for the attack on the security guard. Saseki jumped and was ready to launch his attack again. But in front of everyone, Soho blew Saseki away with his tornado skill. Saseki flew into the wall, and must have received serious injuries. Kurosawa and Daigo were so surprised by this. While Juno and Dongso, who were watching on their cell phones, looked happy. Soho shouted again, asking Hiro to come out. "Don't send incompetent people." Kurosawa looked very satisfied. For him, Soho was more valuable than Hiro, truly beyond his expectations. Daigo also said that Soho was willing to meet with them. Daigo is rescheduling their meeting. Soho threatens if Hiro doesn't come out immediately, Soho will burn everything within a kilometer radius. Kurosawa felt this was becoming increasingly interesting. Asked Daigo what to do next. Daigo had already prepared additional plans. Someone shouted, asking Soho to stop all his actions. A stocky man in uniform. He's just an ordinary human being who is quite strong. Introducing himself as Lieutenant Masai from the police. Asked Soho to stop all actions. Soho asked to bring Hiro to him. He would wait for 30 minutes. Lieutenant Masai explained that it was impossible for Hiro to come, because currently Hiro was raiding dungeon level 7. Soho asks for the location. He will wait for Hiro there. Lieutenant Masai explained that it was impossible. It took 10 days for the hero to complete the dungeon. Soho has a headache, really doesn't understand. Someone who needed 10 days was very brave to challenge it. Soho finally accepts this. He will come back when Hiro is ready. Lieutenant Masai threatened. He promised that Soho would pay for all his actions today. Soho even threatened back. Hiro's previous action, which attacked the opponent's base when the leader was not there, was a lowly act. Soho immediately left with the wyvern to leave Tokyo. There was a debate among Japanese officials. They can't just let Soho go, it would be an international disgrace. Kurosawa asked everyone to calm down. Soho will return later. If they used all their strength to face just one person, it would be even more humiliating. Soho crossed the Japanese sky and found something interesting. A black portal in the middle of Tokyo, area that has been isolated. Soho knows that under the portal is the gate to planet Gutchin. News soon spread quickly. Soho declared war against Hiro. Soho team members seemed happy to hear this. It was also said that Lieutenant Saseki, who received the Soho attack, received serious injuries and had to be treated intensively. The Japanese government considers Soho's actions a threat, and asked the Korean government to hand over Soho, otherwise this will become a war between countries. These four people had fun listening to the news while snacking and drinking. Dongso suggests that they immediately move to America. This war really threatens security. Jasek asked everyone to wait for Soho to return before discussing it. Jasek and Monk Myungjin saw a bird passing by the window of the house. The four of them immediately panicked, hearing Gunwo shouting to welcome Soho back. Gunwo said that his father and other uncles were relaxing watching TV while drinking. Soho entered the house. His emotions couldn't be controlled any longer. Ask what the four members have done. They together escaped from Soho's wrath before the undesirable happened. Soho asked them all not to run away. Led by Monk Myungjin, they broke through the window and fled out of the house. At the South Korean government office, the ministers have gathered to discuss the demands put forward by the Japanese government. Divided into two camps, there are those who agree to give up Soho and there are those who don't. The foreign minister thought Soho's actions had gone too far, entering Japan illegally and causing a commotion. The Minister of Defense defended that this was all because Lee Sung-woo started it first. Park Soho only demands recompense. A commotion broke out again, throwing arguments at each other stating their respective opinions. The aide announced that the president had arrived. The president calmed the situation and immediately started their emergency meeting. The president asked whether Lee Sung-woo and Park Soho had known each other before. The Secretary of State explained that they did not know each other and had no previous relationship. the president knows that Lee Sung-woo started first. What is the reason that he dared to enter Korea and look for trouble with Soho? The bureau chief who also took part in this meeting explained that there were two biggest possibilities. The first possibility is that Lee Sung-woo is jealous of Park Soho's extraordinary popularity and achievements abroad. The president asked the defense minister whether they were able to fight Japan at this time. The defense minister replied that this was currently highly unlikely. Korea had no funds for war and lacked resources. The president asked whether handing over Park Soho was the only solution. Ministers who support the handover of Park Soho agree with the president's proposal. For them, the safety of the population is the most important thing. This minister asked the head of the bureau to immediately prepare to hand over Soho Park to Japan. The bureau chief asked for time. He has not conveyed either possibility. According to the bureau chief's guess, this was a cunning plan prepared by the Japanese government to get Soho. In the midst of conditions that continue to worsen due to monster invasions and dungeon breaks. War is something that cannot happen. The Japanese government just wants to get Park Soho. The president asked if Soho was really that strong. He's just an ordinary dungeon returner, what reason does the Japanese have to want to get him? For the bureau chief, Park Soho is a different and very special awakener. Not only Japan, but all these countries are currently eyeing Park Soho. The reason is because of the capabilities that only Soho has. Park Soho has mastered elemental skills which are said to only be able to be used by high elves from the planet Aruka. Many awakeners have tried to learn that skill on planet Aruka, but no one can use area magic like Park Soho. The Minister of Infrastructure immediately asked whether Soho's skills could grow food like the high elves did. The head of the bureau confirmed it. Park Soho could provide an instant harvest, like lottery tickets that make a lot of money. Hearing the word money, the president's attitude immediately changed. In order to advance the country, the government must protect Soho with their lives. The president immediately requested that Soho be included in the list of priority citizens. The bureau chief smiled with satisfaction. Where there is money, there must be a way. An official announcement has been issued by the government. Refuse to give up Soho. Park Soho is the pride of South Korea. Then next, the DGB group will build a large-scale rice barn and also commercial infrastructure in the Guild Soho area. The bureau chief is on his way home with Miso. The bureau chief asked Miso to immediately discuss this with Soho. Soho Guild will be upgraded to Guild Level 6. Gain the Gyeonggi region and expand the agricultural area. Soon, South Korea will become the home of the world, beating Aruka. This is the meaning of the word love of country. Miso also said that Mr. Max from SPFC also wanted to meet with Soho tomorrow. The bureau chief asked Miso to take care of it well, so that the bureau chief would take care of the rest with the Korean government. Move to Sector 2 of Seoul City, in a Level 3 dungeon. The 4 members of the Soho Guild have just completed the raid dungeon, and fainted when he came out of it. Soho asks them to get up immediately. There are still 10 more rounds waiting to be completed. But no one woke up. Soho became annoyed as a result. Soho received a telephone call from home. It was Sukja's grandmother who called him. Sukja's grandmother asked if Soho gave its members time to eat and rest. Soho replied that they had eaten a lot while he was gone, now all they needed was practice. Sukja's grandmother gave Miso her phone, and asked Soho to talk to her. Miso continued the conversation. A little small talk by discussing Soho, which immediately provided training immediately after returning to Korea. Soho explained that its members only needed to be disciplined. Asked what Miso needed with him. Miso explained that the Japanese government reacted very harshly. Miso comes to offer a solution. Soho forgot the most important thing. On Earth there are many rules that apply, and each country has its own rules. Attacking without calculation could cause chaos. Soho understands and promises to come home soon to discuss it with Miso. The scene continues. Soho has found Miso. He had foreign guests there. Miso introduced him as the manager of the Asian branch of SPFC, Max. Max returned Soho's greeting. He was very happy to meet Soho. Soho asked what the SPFC wanted from him. Soho has never been the least bit interested all this time. Not yet the champion. Okita Hiro challenges Soho to a duel, insulting Soho that Hiro doesn't need a punch to beat Soho. Soho really didn't know about that. In fact, he asked why Hiro did something like that. Max explains that one of Hiro's goals is money. The prize money you will get if this match takes place. Max asks Soho to accept this challenge. If Soho agrees, Soho can stop the war and get money. One step, all problems solved. Soho puts forward a condition: he will only agree if he is allowed to finish off the hero. Miso and Max can't stop thinking about Soho's conditions being so clear. Max explains that the SPFC prohibits murder, but does not prosecute manslaughter. Miso took control of the situation. Miso promises to contact Max after he discusses it with Soho. Max hopes Soho makes the right decision. After that, Miso said that Soho could agree if Soho didn't like it, because no matter what, war won't happen. Soho really wanted to beat up Hiro for invading his territory. Miso said that the Japanese side's calculations were easy to guess: get Soho or kill Soho. Soho doesn't care about the consequences. All he can think about is beating up Hiro. This fight was perfect according to Soho, because no laws were broken. Miso suggested that the fight be held in Japan. This will definitely make the Japanese government quite satisfied. Soho agrees with all the suggestions given by Miso, and will immediately contact Mr. Max to let you know about Soho's wishes. Miso took out several official documents from the envelope. Official letter from the Korean government. Miso explained that once a year there is a large level 6 guild gathering in South Korea. Miso invited Soho directly to attend. Soho felt strange, he shouldn't have been able to take part in the event. Soho guild is not level 6 yet. Miso brought silver 6 buttons. With this, the Soho guild officially becomes level 6. Miso also stated that the entire UIJUNGBU area would be given to the Soho guild, along with the right to autonomy over the territory. When all the infrastructure and settlements have been built, many residents will move there. The government will officially designate the Soho area as Sector 13. Soho is getting more and more confused. Does this mean that Miso is asking Soho to move to a new place? The scene continues. Soho discusses the bureau's decision with his members. Juno doesn't understand why the government can act like this, even though previously they ignored the Soho guild. Soho said that the decision had been made, the government would build the city first. Juno didn't understand why Soho just accepted it. It was clear that the government just wanted to take advantage of them. But for Soho this is a good thing. In the new place, expanding the farming area will be easier. Dongso refuses, thinking it would be better for them to collect all the money and move to America. Soho will designate a location as their main base, and divide the remaining area into several parts. They were all surprised. Did that mean they would be leading a section area? The new Sector 13 was very large. Myung-jin read the news. With agriculture in the Soho area, Korea will become the world's food basket and generate extraordinary income. Products from the planet Aruka have dominated the world, but because the number of gates is limited, the price of Aruka products is very expensive. If this plan goes smoothly, Soho will become the new ruler who leads the world, and the 4 of them will be known as protectors of the region. Soho reiterated how they would protect the state if they couldn't even protect the house. After finishing eating, Soho will start training again. Dongso complains that his stomach hurts. Juno offered to take him to the doctor. Soho is emotional about the useless attitude of its members. Jasek changed the topic to report that Hiro had left the dungeon. Soho is increasingly stressed by the behavior of useless thugs. He swears that Hiro will face real hell. Okita Hiro has emerged from dungeon level 7, which this time took only 8 days. Hiro had heard Soho's actions, who had come looking for him, and said that he would teach Soho good manners. The biggest match of the century, between Hiro and Soho. The match that everyone in the world has been waiting for. Former world champion, Lennox commented that Hiro would win this duel. The experience will be the difference from Soho. SPFC commentator, Bright, said that Soho will definitely realize later that SPFC matches are different from ordinary matches. The amount of money that Soho will get from this fight is worth 240 billion. Dongso, who read this news, was really happy. They wouldn't get that much money even if they cleared level 5 dungeons hundreds of times. Then in another article, Soho said that the prize money he received would be donated to the Japanese government. Dongso is emotional. Why is the money he earned so hard being given to another country? Juno suspected that this was done to prevent a war that might occur, and remove the negative stigma on the Soho guild. Dong-so just realized that the amount of money the winner got was worth 480 billion. Soho arrives and asks what the members are doing. Dong-so asks what Soho is really doing, why he wants to give all his money to the Japanese. Soho has definitely been trapped by the Korean government. Soho didn't give an answer, asking everyone to come with Soho, who was checking out the new area. In the office, the bureau chief called the president. Convey that the betting money given has been deducted from taxes and admin fees. The bureau chief believes that this can stop rumors about the war between Japan and Korea. The head of the bureau assured the president that this was just the beginning. When the Soho area agricultural project was successful, it would bring in even greater profits. Back to Soho, who was flying with the wyvern around his new territory. Previously, Miso had explained to Soho that in the new area there were 3rd Army headquarters facilities, so later the building would be redesigned and expanded, so it can accommodate at least 1,000 people. Soho has found the location intended by Miso. Soho landed there, which was welcomed by the workers. Miso asked how the view from above was, whether Soho was satisfied with this place. Soho feels pretty good. There shouldn't be any problems if he created a barrier within a 4 kilometers radius. Miso will hand over the documents once Soho finishes marking his territory. Soho immediately began his ritual, sending forest elves to mark his territory. News shows that Soho has just completed its latest lockdown. He didn't make any preparations for his duel against Hiro. Move to the Akiko, who is focusing on her laptop. Akiko is trying to find information about Soho. She managed to enter the Awakener Bureau's website. There are many secret folders there, all kept well. After examining one of them, Akiko discovers that Soho has been alive for 1,000 years. 9 days before the Super Mega Star fight, Okita Hiro against Park Soho. 85% of experts predict that Hiro will be the winner. Hiro has completed Raid Dungeon Level 7 in 8 days. Meanwhile in Korea, DGB Group has sent building materials to UIJUNGBU to build the Soho area. 5 days before the fight, all tickets were sold out. Stadium of Tokyo will be the venue for the fight. 2 days before the fight, Soho was still in Korea. Soho is still focused on managing its new territory. News articles began to stir up anger. Soho was accused of being a coward. Soho is not ready for the fight. Korea is gripped by a pervasive sense of fear. Hiro's supporters have gathered in every corner of Tokyo, giving full support to the world's #1 awakener. Hiro and Akiko are drinking coffee at dusk at a hotel in Tokyo City. Akiko felt the anxiety in Hiro, asking what he was thinking. Hiro thinks about the possibility that if Soho doesn't appear, what should Hiro do to defeat him? Akiko said that this would not be easy to do. Akiko has checked Soho's secret documents. According to the Awakener Bureau report, Soho returned after spending 1,000 years on another planet. Hiro was shocked. 1,000 years was a very long time. Suspect that Soho regressed up to 1,000 years. Akiko disagrees. According to him, Soho doesn't use regression stones like Hiro. Impossible for a human being to live for 1,000 years. Hiro couldn't believe it. Akiko continued to explain. In the report, Soho returned after 10 years of absence, and time on the planet he was stranded on moved 2 times faster than on Earth. According to Mera, this is the reason why Hiro didn't meet Soho even though he had regressed 25 times. Hiro asked if there was a possibility that Soho could get an item that would make him stay young. Akiko had gathered information, and found an item called the Crimson Divine Peach. This step item only appears once every 1,000 years on one of the planets, and will disappear after 10 days from its appearance. A god's fruit that grants immortality and eternal youth to those who eat it. Hiro is increasingly curious about the figure of Soho, a person who lived 1,000 years without a stone of regression. Akiko is worried that Soho has lived longer than Hiro. But Hiro is not afraid. Whoever his opponent is, Hiro will remove all obstacles that hinder his plans. The day of the fight arrives. News reports that Soho is still nowhere to be seen in Japan. Is Soho running away? If Soho doesn't come, how much will he have to pay? Soho is still enjoying growing several fruit trees in its new area. Soho feels that this apple tree and its fruit are more than enough. Dong-so reminds him that Soho is running out of time. Next, Soho will grow pear trees. Dong-so stopped him, because there were only 3 hours left before the fight, Soho had to leave immediately. Not many types of fruit trees are planted in Soho because the level is still low. Because of that, Soho will go to Japan, and ask Dongso to buy all the fruit trees he needs. Dongso asked Soho not to discuss this anymore, telling Soho to leave immediately because everything had become excited. Soho understood, so Soho called the wyvern out to leave, making Dongso confused because he was shocked. Soho reminds him that he will be back soon, asking Dongso and the others to raid the dungeon. Soho will punish them if they are lazy. Dongso felt that in the last few days they had trained and worked very hard. Soho immediately left for Japan with Wyvern, leaving Dongso alone. Dongso didn't understand. Soho didn't feel the slightest fear even though his opponent was the world champion. He even had time to plant trees 3 hours before the fight. Dongso has prepared his camera drone, he already knows what video he will soon edit. Move to Japan, located at the Stadium of Tokyo. The atmosphere seemed very busy with visitors. The commentators will just call Blue and the other one Black. Blue heard that Soho hasn't arrived in Japan yet. Is there a possibility that Soho ran away? According to Black, this usually happens to beginners, especially if the opponent is a champion. If the fight is cancelled, then the Korean side and Park Soho must be responsible. Hiro asks Akiko if there's any news about Soho yet. Akiko checked that Soho was focusing on expanding its territory in UIJUNGBU. Hiro didn't expect it at all, he thought Soho already knew what would happen. Dungeon Level 7 in Korea will appear in the UIJUNGBU area. The Korean fighting force facing Dungeon Level 7 has been destroyed, and Korea lost half of its S-rank awakeners. Korea failed to stop the dungeon breaks from occurring. Until then, Korea had to use large-scale bombs to stop the monster invasion. Not long after that, dungeon breaks occurred all over the world. Meanwhile in Korea, the government was unable to overcome the monsters that came from the north, causing the collapse of South Korea. Hiro believes that the South Korean government wants Park Soho to overcome all the problems that will occur in the future. There are 7 minutes left before the fight starts. According to the regulations, participants will be disqualified if they do not arrive at the arena by the end of the specified time. But then a gust of wind shocked all the spectators in the stadium. Soho landed in the middle of the arena while riding his wyvern, destroying the expectations of everyone who accused him of running away. David was very excited. Along with her 2 friends, she watched the fight from the Baskin-Robbins ice cream shop. The bureau chief is also very enthusiastic. The whole world will be in Soho's hands when he wins his duel against Hiro. Miso also didn't want to be left behind, watching from home while she was on holiday from her daily routine. At the Defense Force camp, the soldiers pray for victory for Soho. Soo-young peeked from a distance, watching the commotion of her colleagues' enthusiasm. Soo-young didn't say anything, just looked at him with a cold gaze. Soho sent his wyvern home. This action certainly shocked everyone who witnessed it. Soho didn't understand why there were so many people there. He also asked where Hiro was. Soho shouted for Hiro, asking him to come out immediately. The crowd began to continue their business in Soho. Everyone there shouted Hiro's name in unison. Hiro is about to go down to the arena, but Akiko is worried about him. Hiro promises that he will return with absolute victory. Hiro shot through the air, and Soho noticed his arrival. Hiro landed on the arena dramatically and caused a stir. Soho asks if the person in front of him is Hiro. Hiro, however, instead wanted to ask a few questions before he finished off Soho. Hiro starts with the question, is Soho a survivor of a major disaster? Soho didn't understand and asked what he meant. For Hiro, Soho is a bad actor. Soho couldn't stand Hiro's nonsense. Hiro continued to ask, are there other regression stones? How many years can Soho do its regression? Soho increasingly doesn't understand, he really doesn't know what a regression stone is. Hiro feels that Soho is pretending. It must be nice to have the world under his control. Hiro had prepared both of his swords. The information window shows that Hiro is an SS rank irregular. Hiro jumped up and was ready to attack Soho with a sword. This is the only way for Hiro to get Soho to open his mouth. Everyone was shocked by what seemed impossible. Commentators, Soo-young, David and her colleagues, the 4 members of the Soho team, the head of the bureau, Miso, Akiko, and the audience at the Stadium of Tokyo. Soho's punch landed comfortably on Hiro's face. Soho's attack sends Hiro flying, who is unable to resist it. Hiro was blown away so hard, surprising everyone watching. Soho moved closer to Hiro, who was still helpless. According to Soho, Hiro is just an insane person who likes to bother other people. Soho asks Hiro to get up. It's impossible, the world champion is this weak. Hiro had to get a lot of hits again. Hiro got up and didn't understand what was happening. Was he affected by Soho's skill? Soho reminds Hiro to learn to be humble. Every region has its king, and there are also frogs in shells. Hiro didn't accept this insult, he sped forward towards Soho. But Soho's blow was faster than Hiro's response. Once again Soho's fist landed on Hiro's face. Unable to react, Hiro couldn't see Soho's movements. Soho continued to send a fist that hit Hiro's stomach. Then Hiro was flown with a tornado skill. Soho continued to kick Hiro, who was floating in the air. Hiro fell crashing down on the arena again. Soho continued using the fire fairy skill, burning down the location where Hiro was. These two commentators couldn't act. Hiro was completely beaten up. Something that is difficult to accept, even though they see it directly. Soho grabbed Hiro's neck and lifted him up. Hiro is no longer helpless. Soho asks Hiro not to pretend to be dead. Soho can figure it out. Soho saw that Hiro still had 25% HP left. Soho asks why Hiro is looking for him, why Hiro deliberately provokes him. Hiro's HP has increased, recovery is being carried out. Hiro answered that he wanted to finish off Soho. Because according to Hiro, Soho should disappear from this world. Hiro's eyes turned red. Soho asked again what mistake he had made for Hiro to go that far. Soho has destroyed Hiro's perfect plan that he had worked so hard to prepare for 500 years. Soho really didn't understand what Hiro was saying. Previously, Hiro had drunk a bottle of potion. A magical liquid that restores Hiro and changes his form to a terrible one. Hiro did all this to save the earth. Hiro releases an energy blast that blows Soho away. His attack also destroyed the barrier protecting the audience. Until finally, a huge explosion destroyed the entire stadium of Tokyo. Kurosawa and Daigo also watched the explosion just now from the monitor screen. Kurosawa didn't think that Hiro had a recovery potion. Meanwhile, Daigo panics about the explosion that occurred. A magic potion that makes Hiro change his form into a monster. Kurosawa smiled happily. Hiro had learned something interesting from Planet Gutchin. The effect of Hiro's attack was extraordinary, destroying the Tokyo Stadium and its surroundings. All the existing spectators have become victims who did not survive. Akiko is still alive, but she also received damage from the previous explosion. The previous Hiro skill was called the ultimate move, Fury of God. A skill so deadly that the human body is unable to withstand it, making Hiro inevitably have to change his form into a monster. Unable to stop thinking, Hiro must use his skills to fight Soho. Even though this is prepared to fight level 8 dungeon boss monsters. Soho is still safe, feeling dizzy in his head, and the forest elf was recovering himself. Soho was truly shocked by Hiro's previous attack. Hiro was desperate, not expecting that Soho was still safe after receiving the ultimate move skill, Fury of God. Soho didn't expect that Hiro could also use transformation skills, especially since he turned into a monster. Hiro asked what item Soho used to become as strong as he is now. What has Soho been doing all this time? Soho still doesn't understand Hiro's words, and Soho doesn't use items but skills, namely Forest Blessing. Hiro was even more surprised to hear that. Was there a skill that was more powerful than elixirs or potions? Soho admits, this is a high-level skill, which can restore all energy, physical and mana within 5 seconds. Hiro was emotional seeing Soho, who smiled proudly when he said that. Hiro jumped in front of Soho and was ready to attack, wanting to see if Soho could still smile after this. Soho discovered that Hiro had now become a hybrid monster, with a rank U level. Soho didn't fight back, he received Hiro's attack without defending. Hiro's next attack sent Soho flying. Hiro asked if Soho would still be able to laugh when planet Earth was shattered into pieces. Because of Soho, all of Hiro's preparations have been ruined. Can Soho still laugh? Hiro continued to beat Soho repeatedly, but Soho felt that Urank's attacks were normal and nothing special. Soho attacked Hiro again and landed a kick on Hiro's face. Soho sums up all of Hiro's statements. His plans that have been laid out for 500 years are falling apart because of Soho, and this planet will be destroyed. And the cause of all this is Soho, so because of that, Soho must rise in Hiro's hands. Hiro is enveloped in Soho's tornado. Hiro asks Soho to eliminate himself if he already understands what will happen. Soho is an additional variable that is not needed. Who came suddenly and messed everything up? Soho doesn't know the hard work that Hiro has done to get to where he is now, and the emergence of Soho destroyed everything. Just when Hiro continues to babble that this world only needs one hero, namely him, Soho's kick landed on Hiro's face, making Hiro fall quite hard onto the arena. Soho is stressed by Hiro's childish behavior, the crazy bastard and the bully. Hiro was completely helpless, never thought that Soho was so strong. Even though he has turned into a monster, Hiro cannot beat humans like Soho. Hiro has given up hope, his life this time has no hope anymore. But Hiro wasn't disappointed in the slightest, because Hiro could do it all again. Soho continues the attack, pressing Hiro in a defensive position. Soho asked what Hiro was muttering about. Soho stated that he wasn't the one who caused all of Hiro's plans to be ruined. Soho will teach Hiro what reality is. Hiro deliberately lures Soho into continuing to attack, baiting Soho into telling him all the information Hiro needs. Currently, Hiro is preparing a replica stone, which he suspects is copying Soho's abilities. In the next regression, Hiro plans to seize Soho's power. Hiro will absorb Soho's soul and eliminate its intruders from this world. Because the hero the world needs is just one hero, Soho has prepared an attack. Continuing to ask Hiro to realize the reality, Soho performs a fusion. Soho changed his form and joined the honey bear. His punch sent Hiro flying so easily. The impact of the Soho attack was extraordinary. Hiro bounced out of the stadium, and his form returned to human form. Hiro lay helpless. He really has run out of energy. Hiro had also lost his chance. The replica stone he had prepared previously had been shattered into pieces. Soho follows with golden eagle wings. Soho really is on a different level. Soho landed right on top of Hiro's helpless body. Soho asks if Hiro has accepted reality. Hiro still rejected it vehemently. Soho said the reason why Hiro couldn't save the world even though it had taken so long was because Hiro was very weak. Soho asks Hiro not to bother him anymore, and not to appear in his area. If not, then Hiro will suffer consequences he cannot imagine. Hiro smiles, because 95% of humanity will disappear in a major disaster in the future. Soho will also be gone when that happens. Soho asks Hiro to wake up. Why does Hiro's past have to become the future of Soho and everyone? Because there will be no future for people trapped in the past like Hiro today. Suyong couldn't say anything seeing Soho's victory. This proves that Soho has become the strongest. Suyong recalled her conversation with Soho at the hospital. At that time Suyong asked why she couldn't be with Soho. Soho answered because Suyong was too weak. If their strengths are not balanced, then one of them will be destroyed. That's what Soho said, but the news stated that Soho was dating a member of the idol group Vitamin, Song Yi. Suyong's feelings became increasingly chaotic. Emotions never stop, without knowing why. The SPFC Super Megastar battle between Soho and Champion proved Soho's victory with an absolute win. More than 48,000 lives were lost, becoming victims at the Tokyo Stadium. The world ranking that has not yet been made official, Park Soho donated all the prize money to the Japanese government. The families of the victims will sue Hiro for the events that occurred. Is SPFC still a safe tournament with this incident? The champion Hiro has been unconscious for a week and is being treated in hospital. In his dream, Hiro sees a monster from Soho who keeps threatening him not to bother him again. Hiro finally woke up from his stupor, after being unconscious for a long time. His whole body was wrapped in bandages. The physical injuries weren't too serious, but the mental trauma really shook Hiro's sanity. Checking the news that is going viral on his cell phone, Hiro finds that he has become a public enemy of Japanese society. Akiko entered the room, and was surprised to see Hiro who had woken up. Akiko immediately snatched Hiro's cell phone and asked him not to see baseless news. Everyone was shocked by Hiro's defeat, and went crazy due to the unbearable shame. Hiro asks Red to come out. He needs some time alone. Akiko understands, but she will take Hiro's phone with her. What Hiro needs right now is calm. Hiro got out of bed and peeked out the window. Many residents demonstrated in front of the hospital, demanding responsibility and compensation for Hiro's actions. Everyone who used to support Hiro, now turns to attack him. No matter how much Hiro contributes, in the end this will happen. The replica stone copying process was interrupted. If only Hiro could survive a little longer, then Hiro could get all of Soho's abilities. Hiro takes out his regression stone, and also displays all the planets of Earth showing the number of repetitions. With the regression stone, Hiro can go back 20 years. At this point, Hiro will repeat and immediately get rid of Soho. Unfortunately, it took Hiro 2 years to use the regression stone, but if he upgraded the regression stone to level 3, it might be faster. Hiro was shocked by the entry of 3 awakeners into his room. The man in green is named Nobasuk. He and his 2 colleagues came to visit Hiro. Hiro asked the purpose of Nobasuk's arrival with the other 2 people. Nobasuk said that he received orders from the Awakener Bureau. Hiro didn't hear anything about this. Nobasuk doesn't know what the problem is. What is clear is that the Bureau asked them to bring Hiro. The red-haired Toziro, and the other Wichi, explained that they accidentally met Nobasuk. Hiro felt something strange. The S-rank Awakeners gathered on the Bureau's orders. Hiro could smell something suspicious. Hiro asks them to come out, he will be ready soon. Wichi refuses, asking Hiro to come along immediately. Outside, the other 2 colleagues were also waiting. Nobasuk panics. Toziro says that Hiro already knows their intentions. There's no point in pretending to be nice anymore. Hiro was still calm and arrogant as usual, convinced that the 3 people in front of him couldn't beat him. Nobasuk tries to calm Hiro down. The Bureau just wants to conduct an investigation. Hiro became even more annoyed. He knew that he would be the victim of all the tragedies that had occurred. Hiro is sure that the Bureau recorded all his conversations with Soho, and knows about Hiro's regression stone. Hiro asks if Nobasuk also wants his regression stone. Are they planning to squeeze Hiro out of nothing? Nobasuk denied it was not what Hiro had imagined. All of this happened because there were items that were not included in the report. Uesihai couldn't hold it in anymore. If Hiro really had such a great item, why not use it for the country and people of Japan? Hiro assured that the Japanese government would regret the mistakes they had just made which had crossed the line. Toziro and Uesihai were ready to arrest Hiro, while Nobasuk was still standing still. An explosion evaporated in the room Hiro was in, blowing away 2 people who were standing guard outside. Toziro and Wichi were defeated so easily by Hiro. Hiro asked Nobasuk who issued this order. Nobasuk replied that this was an order from the main commissioner. Commissioner Takeo, the lover of the country. A figure who glorifies Japanese lineage, and doesn't like Korea. A figure who has always hated Hiro. Takeo has been waiting for this moment for a long time, to knock Hiro from his position. Nobasuk emphasized that Commissioner Takeo was not convinced of Hiro's loyalty to the Japanese state. While raiding dungeon level 7, Hiro lost his partner. Takeo asks if Hiro used a healing potion to help his friend. Hiro has items and skills that he did not report. Whatever goal Hiro wants to achieve, the item should be used for state security. Commissioner Takeo wants to know all the items that Hiro has and wants to clear up all the misunderstandings that exist. Hiro could smell his real goal, namely wanting to take all of Hiro's items. Hiro also believes that Takeo promised Nobasuk the position of captain of the Japanese combat team. If all this goes smoothly. Seeing the expression Nobasuk showed, Hiro was sure that that was what happened. Hiro did not expect that the Japanese would go this far. Hiro has seen the destruction of Japan 25 times. Hiro used Japan as his base because of its geographical advantages, but now everything is useless. There is no way to stop this country's greed. Hiro wants to know one more thing. Does Red know all this? Reluctantly, Nobasuk answered that Red knew it too. Hiro was furious. He crushed Toziro's head easily. Everyone had betrayed him. Hiro expressed his thanks to Nobasuk for all their cooperation so far. Hiro blows up the room with the hospital, burning Nobasuk and everyone around him. Breaking news, Okita Hiro killed 2 Rank S Awakeners and injured 3 other Rank S. Currently, Hiro's whereabouts are unknown after escaping. At the Japanese Supernatural Bureau office, the main commissioner, Takeo, seemed emotional about what was happening. It is for this reason that Takeo doesn't like strangers, who will stab him in the back. Japan accepted Okita Hiro, who was exiled from Korea, and made him a world hero. But Hiro immediately attacks back when there is a small misunderstanding. Takeo assumed that it was possible that from the start Okita Hiro was a spy for the Korean side. This tragedy was more than enough to convince the Prime Minister to get rid of all the parasites that were spreading within Japan. Takeo wants to bring up more original Japanese heroes to replace Hiro. Takeo called his assistant, asking him to contact all media, including print, online and television media. In the next 2 hours, Takeo will hold a press conference to discuss and clarify Okita Hiro. Meanwhile, other news shows the newest area belonging to the strongest awakener in the world, Park Soho, which is in Wajongbu. The Soho Guild has also increased the number of guild members. Jasek can be seen training the beginners, just counting down until the Soho area is crowned as the 13th sector of Seoul. The review video about the new Soho Guild area also received such high views that it exceeded 1 million views. A real estate YouTuber specifically discussed the design of Sector 13 and investing in property there. Dongso was surprised by all the videos that were trending on YouTube. Top 10 YouTube videos, all about Soho. This is what it means to be number 1 in the world. Dongso also read the news about Hiro, who disappeared after blowing up the hospital. Japanese society was shocked by the fall of the hero, who fled after killing 2 S-rank awakeners. Breaking news reports that the Chief Commissioner of Japan's Supernatural Bureau is holding a press conference. Takeo stated that the Japanese suspected Hiro of being a Korean spy. The Japanese asked for an explanation from the Korean government regarding the terror attack carried out by Hiro. The Korean government immediately responded, through its spokesperson, saying that the Japanese accusations had no basis. The Korean government felt offended by Japan's provocation. Dongso panics, afraid what if Hiro chooses to run away to Korea and look for Soho? Dongso is increasingly afraid, what if Hiro appears in the Soho area when Soho is not in the same place as before? Dongso came out of his room and immediately looked for Soho. Running scared, Dongso didn't know where Soho was at this time. Who always disappears in times of crisis. Dongso saw lightning dancing in the air, right in the Soho area. The sensation was so familiar. Dongso then found the workers running for their lives. Corn sweat was pouring down. Did Dongso's guess come true? Is Hiro already in their territory? Dongso didn't want to die silly, so he ran with the workers. Accidentally, Dongso meets Jasek. They asked each other about what happened and where they wanted to go. Dongso conveys his suspicions, guessing that Okita Hiro is in their territory. Jasek felt strange about Dongso. Jasek received a report from the detection team that a portal had appeared and Jasek was heading there. Dongso looked stupid. His unfounded panic led to ridiculous actions. Jasek emphasized that a dungeon appeared in their territory. A red dungeon portal has appeared in the Soho area. Dongso and Jasek had arrived there, meeting Juno, who was checking the dungeon. The result is a level 7 dungeon, with 88 doors, and the time until breaks occur is 41 days. The time for this dungeon is quite short, different from the level 7 dungeon in Japan, which has 23 gates with a total time of 120 days. Juno panicked. The situation was very dangerous. Because they focused on developing new areas, they brought many workers to the Soho area. Even though there is Soho there, Juno is afraid that they will not be able to overcome dungeon level 7. If there is a break, Juno cannot guarantee the lives of everyone there. What is the best choice for them to do? Monk Myungjin is relaxing while eating meat, stating that they just have to finish the dungeon before the break occurs. These 3 people had headaches and stomach aches hearing the meaningless statements of a fake monk. The 4 of them were discussing, considering entering the dungeon. I'm sure Soho will do the same. Becoming doubtful about the abilities of those who are still in rank E. Jasek asked where Soho was currently, whether Soho had disappeared again in a critical situation. The 4 of them agreed to search for Soho's whereabouts and would move separately. When they started to scatter, they didn't realize there was a squirrel in their midst. Their eyes all glanced in the same direction. because Soho had been with them since earlier. Soho asked why they were moving to this new area. Juno admitted that he was blinded by the power in the new Sector 13 area. Dongso and Jasik admitted that they were aiming for the regional leadership position. Monk Myungjin also admitted it. Soho emphasized that the reason they moved was because this new place was a good area for hunting. The reason the Korean government chose this place is very clear, and Soho really likes this place. Soho asks its members to feel the eerie wilderness with their bodies. Currently, there is a big game that is bringing its own life to the Soho Guild area. They should be grateful for getting this great opportunity to hunt. Dongso wanted to admit it, but with his level, there was no way he could handle this. Soho is confused about its members. There were hunters selling themselves, but the members chose to run away. If they continue to have thoughts like that, they will only return to the past. Soho emphasized whether its members want to return to the unpleasant past. No one accepted it. They had gotten to this point with an uphill battle. Dongso became brave, he was ready to leave at any time. Myungjin will be the bait to lure the monsters. Soho was happy to hear that answer. Soho immediately changed his form again. Since this was their first level 7 dungeon, it would definitely take quite a long time. The Soho Guild already has a lot of newbies to supervise and also take care of the ongoing development. Therefore for the first raid, Soho will bring Myungjin and Jasik with him. Dongso refuses, he hopes to make his name in the first level 7 dungeon raid in Korea. Soho understands, so he will bring Dongso in place of Monk Myungjin. Workers came to bring the equipment needed. They entered the dungeon led by Soho, who was very happy. The workers looked panicked. Is it okay to enter a level 7 dungeon with only 3 people? Juno couldn't answer. Soho has arrived in the dungeon, and they are shocked by the appearance of zombies. The detection team discovered that this level 7 dungeon was undead territory. Breaking news, announcing that a level 7 dungeon has appeared in Korea. A level 7 dungeon is the 8th in the world and the 2nd in Asia. Foreign media stated that this phenomenon was predictable. Apart from that, Korea's international airport experienced chaos due to many people wanting to save themselves. Live reports from the airport showed that even reporters were unable to work. Citizens' panic could not be controlled. Currently the Awakener Bureau is preparing plans for a level 7 dungeon raid. It has also been reported that Soho and his 2 members have entered the dungeon. The bureau chief is holding a meeting with the staff. He had received reports that Soho had entered the instant the level 7 dungeon appeared. Park Soho, Han Dongso and Jang Jasik are already in the dungeon. Jasik is in rank D and Dongso is in rank E. The bureau chief was sure that Dongso would have video recordings in the dungeon that would be useful for the next group. The bureau chief asked how the preparations for Korea's #1 combat team were going. The answer was that the team was ready to carry out the task order. But what is worrying is that the members in it, apart from S-rank Awakeners, the rest only consist of A and B rank Awakeners. Raiding with this team is like sending them to the grave. Luckily, no one escaped. What's more, the time you have is very short, you have to complete a level 7 dungeon with 88 doors in less than 42 days. Okita Hero's fastest record is 8 days. That meant they didn't have enough time to complete the dungeon. Head of the Stress Bureau. They have to complete raid dungeons twice a day. Plus, all the guilds in Korea have been overwhelmed by the emergence of level 6 dungeons. They don't have a solution to this. A member asked the bureau chief to evacuate all residents in the Soho area and place defense troops to prepare in case of a dungeon break. The wall of the Soho Guild tree looks very strong according to the bureau chief. As long as this level 7 dungeon can be overcome, the Soho area will be the safest place in the world even though the surrounding area has been destroyed by monsters. The bureau chief asked where Miso was, asking him to contact him. Immediately, camera drones have been flown to monitor the current situation in the Soho area. There was no panic in the Soho area. Construction continues without interruption. The workers were resting by eating their lunch very calmly. Gunwo was also seen playing with a pack of wolves, as well as Japanese monkeys riding elephants. The Awakener Bureau members couldn't believe whether the Soho area was really in Korea, because it looks like another world. The bureau chief asked to find the location of the Miso. And the camera drone moves towards the main building of the Soho Guild. Miso can be seen there relaxing while enjoying the sunshine. smooth white skin, combined with incomparable beauty, made everyone in the Awakener Bureau office unable to restrain their rebellious lust. The bureau chief couldn't stop thinking. Miso showed the situation of the Soho Guild very perfectly. Miso finds a camera drone and is ready to blow it up because it disturbed her nap time. Miso finally realized that the drone belonged to the bureau. Miso put her clothes back on. She explained that she was resting. Before giving her report, Miso asked that he be directed to another place. Miso reported that there was panic when the level 7 dungeon first appeared. But the situation calmed down again after Soho carried out its first raid. 3 hours after the dungeon appeared, infrastructure construction continued. Soho Guild representative, Park Juno oversees all existing work. While monk Myungjin trains new members of the Soho Guild. The bureau chief was truly shocked. The whole of Korea was in panic, but the Soho area looked like heaven on earth. Does everyone there really trust Park Soho? The bureau chief received a report that the Minister of Defense had sent their strongest troops led by Sun Jinwoo to the Soho area. The bureau chief's face became happy. If something bad happens, the defense forces have been alerted and they still have hope. Called Park Soho. The bureau chief asked his assistant to prepare all his combat equipment. The bureau chief decided that from that moment on he would become the commander of the level 7 dungeon area. Moving on to Japan, Akiko has been arrested and is being investigated. Takeo enters the room and asks if Akiko is awake. Akiko stated that Japan had made a big mistake. Takeo didn't accept it. He realized that Akiko still wanted to rebel and Takeo was ready to provide a little more entertainment. Takeo has found all of Akiko's secret notes even though they have been hidden well. Takeo also checked all the contents inside. Akiko explains that she only keeps a diary, but Takeo is sure that Hiro doesn't know this. Takeo admits that Akiko is great at gathering information. Hiro still trusts Akiko because he doesn't know about her actions. This note contains future information, about awakeners who will become heroes or villains, tragedies that will occur, time and location. It even explains the end of the world that awaits. By knowing the future, Hiro gathers people who have potential, and makes it look like he discovered extraordinary talent. Hiro received all the respect and praise from those who were amazed by his actions. Hiro rose to become champion, the world's #1 hero. Humans worship him like a god without knowing that everything has been arranged by him. And all this happened thanks to Hiro's regression stone. Akiko was curious, what Takeo really wanted to know. Hiro's hideout, and Takeo will give anything if Red cooperates. Akiko stated that she did not know Hiro's whereabouts. In the monitoring room, using a lie detector, the officer stated that Akiko was telling the truth. Takeo got annoyed. Actually, it would be better if Akiko found out. But Akiko denies it, because for her it would be better for Japan if they didn't make Hiro an enemy. Takeo stated that Akiko would be placed in a special prison for awakeners. Her fate was destined to rot in that prison. Akiko threatens back, asking Takeo to focus on himself. Because maybe Hiro will come to visit him. Takeo panicked, trying to calm himself down but didn't seem to be succeeding. CCTV video found that Hiro escaped by entering a sewer. The pursuit team is trying to track Hiro's position using a sensor-type drone. Takeo asks his men to find Hiro at all costs. Hiro must be responsible for all his actions. Takeo is sure Hiro keeps the regression stone in his inventory. This Takeo obtained the stone for his personal gain. Meanwhile, Hiro is relaxing while snacking and reading the latest news. Hiro was really surprised when he saw the news showing Soho raiding a level 7 dungeon with just his 2 members. Hiro was curious about the 2 Soho colleagues, who were very low level, whether they were just a potter and a cameraman. Hiro was emotional, watching Soho raid the dungeon with such confidence. Hiro wants to see how far Soho can change the fate of the world with his power. In preparation for the next regression, Hiro will gather all the information about Soho as much as possible. The news also shows that Korean defense forces are heading to the Soho Guild area. Hiro remembers Korea's #1 awakener Sun Jinwoo. Korea's destruction will begin when Jinwoo's troops become victims in this level 7 dungeon. Hiro is currently in Busan. A level 7 dungeon appears in Seoul, but Busan is still peaceful. Residents were playing on the beach with their families and friends. Hero is sure that their current feelings will change when the end of the world comes. Hero promises to make everyone smile again at the next regression opportunity. Moving to the Soho area, the defense forces have arrived there. Juno was surprised by all this. While Miso didn't get any information, the bureau chief got out of the car and greeted the two of them with a wide smile. Juno and Miso asked in unison what the bureau chief was doing there. The bureau chief cannot sit comfortably in his chair when Korea is hit by a crisis like this. Miso smells something suspicious, knowing the bureau chief's true intentions. The bureau chief greeted Juno. This action was taken to reduce the anxiety that plagues Korean society. The government and the Awakener Bureau provide full support for the Soho Guild. Juno understands, but he's sure Soho won't like it when outsiders enter his territory like this. The bureau chief assured that level 7 dungeons are a national problem that must be overcome together. But Juno knows his brother so well, he's sure that Soho will be angry when he finds out about this. Miso takes over, she will explain everything to Soho later. The bureau will also pay a certain amount of money as compensation. Juno was very panicked, he knew what would happen. Thinking about running away from that place. Finally, the defense forces established their barracks and headquarters in the Soho area. Miso asks the bureau chief why he is in the Soho area at this time. Miso is sure that the bureau chief only wanted to save himself because he saw that the Soho area was the safest place. The bureau chief denied that. As a public official, the bureau chief cannot sit idly by in a situation like this. The head of the bureau said that all Korea's best awakeners would join them, including Soo-yeon was also there. The bureau chief asked about the tree wall protecting the Soho area, which seemed very strong. Ask if it is able to withstand a missile attack. Miso doesn't know, challenges the bureau chief why don't he try it so he can find out. The new members of the Soho Guild didn't expect to see Korea's best defense force in person. They asked Monk Myung-jin if it was okay to end his afternoon practice and prepare for dinner. Monk Myung-jin is relaxing on a rock while lying down. Monk Myung-jin gave advice. A person's body and soul will be subject to karma if they cannot restrain their desires. This member answered that they should not starve to death, they must continue living to achieve nirvana. They understood that Monk Myung-jin still wanted some things. They will bring 2 cans of drink if they are allowed to go. Monk Myung-jin finally wavered and gave his permission, asking if anyone is interested in becoming a monk. The members refused because they had different beliefs, promising to bring lots of meat to Monk Myung-jin. The new members walked away, leaving Monk Myung-jin, who was disappointed because no one wanted to become a monk. Myung-jin checked his status. Has achievement points of 782. His King of Nirvana skill is still at level 1, and can summon 20 vagabonds. Myung-jin wanted to increase the level of his skills, thinking about raiding dungeons alone. On the other hand, Juno was chatting with Jin-woo. Juno asked why they set up their own tent, even though there were still many empty rooms. Jin-woo didn't want to bother the Soho Guild. This kind of help alone was more than enough for him. Juno admires the figure of Jin-woo, who is known as the Iron Man from Korea. Jin-woo refused the Scylla Guild's offer because his love for his homeland was so great. Juno was sure that Jin-woo didn't want to accept any help from outsiders. Jin-woo asked Juno to make sure that the paths of soldiers and residents did not cross each other. Soldiers would become sensitive when raiding dungeons. Juno understands, he will immediately arrange it. That evening, Jin-woo met the bureau chief in his makeshift office. Jin-woo said that he wanted to do a raid tonight too. The bureau chief asked Jin-woo to rest for at least 1 day. They had just arrived in the Soho area. The Awakener Bureau has sent a request for cooperation to all guilds in Korea and is currently preparing additional combat plans. Ask Jin-woo to wait. Jin-woo remained adamant, he felt he didn't need any more people. The bureau chief was only acting rationally. Even Hero's team received casualties when raiding a level 7 dungeon. Especially for Korea, losing just 1 soldier was a big loss. That's why the bureau chief doesn't want Jin-woo's team to just enter the dungeon and cause many casualties. So what about the next raid? Even Park Soho, who usually clears level 5-6 dungeons in 20 minutes, hasn't come out until now. The bureau chief wanted to be more careful. The bureau chief reported that 4 S rank and 12 A rank mercenaries were on their way. The chairman asked Jin-woo to add them to the combat team. The bureau chief asked Jin-woo to remember well that his defense forces were Korea's best asset. Jin-woo understood, he agreed and would wait for the next day. Moved to the defense forces tent. Soo-young was resting and trying to close her eyes. Soo-young was awakened from her sleep by an attack that almost hit her head. Miso is the culprit. She didn't accept Soo-young's attitude of not meeting him when she arrived in the Soho area. Soo-young found it troublesome, preferring to just be in the north. Miso started to tease whether Soo-young's spoiled behavior was because Soho wasn't at home. Soo-young feels that he has nothing to do with Soho, asks Miso to leave immediately because she wants to sleep. Miso continued, Soo-young's words did not match her actions. Even though Soo-young had previously called Soho many times. Soo-young was emotional, why did Miso even check her call recordings? Miso felt that Soo-young didn't think about the bureau's chaotic situation when Soo-young couldn't be contacted. A woman named Sehee entered Soo-young's tent. Miso immediately jumped up to welcome Sehee's arrival. Soo-young asked if Sehee brought everything she ordered. Of course, Sehee answered. Sehee brought a lot of food, there were potato chips, dumplings, chicken, fish cakes, kimbap, sausages and canned drinks. Soo-young praised Sehee for being good at this. Sehee asked them to eat it immediately. If Jin-woo finds out, then they will be punished. Miso couldn't resist the temptation of chicken thighs. Sehee asked Soo-young to eat up the food, when tomorrow they enter the dungeon, who knows when they will be able to enjoy this food. Soo-young asks why Miso is so greedy, does she also want to enter the dungeon? Miso just wanted to liven things up. Sehee suddenly asks about Soho, making the situation between Miso and Soo-young tense. Sehee said that he saw a video on YouTube, which showed that Song-yi had been rejected by Soho. Soo-young gets emotional hearing this, while Miso even thinks that Song-yi and Soho are dating. Sehee explained that Song-yi was immediately rejected by Soho not long after meeting them. Currently Song-yi is undergoing training to become an awakener. Song-yi was rejected by Soho because she was so weak. Soho is not interested in weak women. Soo-young couldn't say, because she also experienced the same thing. Miso didn't dare comment. Sehee had heard that Miso was quite close to Soho, so Sehee wanted to ask Miso. Sehee is currently the strongest female awakener in Korea. Sehee asks Miso to introduce her to Soho. Miso didn't have time to answer, because Soo-young broke her chicken bone. Shows passionate emotions. The next day, 24 hours after Soho entered dungeon level 7 but still hadn't come out, Jin-woo and his 30 members were preparing to enter the dungeon. Juno asked the members where Monk Myung-jin was. Yesterday, Monk Myung-jin entered the dungeon level 1 with new members, but after that Monk Myung-jin left with an evil smile curling up on his face. At that time, Monk Myung-jin said that he had to go somewhere. Juno was worried when he heard that, afraid that Monk Myung-jin would cause new problems. Jin-woo delivered his speech. The only information they knew about this dungeon was the undead area. When they enter later, they will look for the perfect location to set up a command post, make a location map, analyze the situation and prepare an operation plan. Reminding his troops that they are Korea's best fighting team. Jin-woo led his team into the dungeon together. And the last 2 people who were going to enter the dungeon, suddenly bounced and fell as a result the door closed. 28 people managed to enter, and 2 people who were rank S failed to enter the dungeon. A countdown appeared at the door of the dungeon where Soho entered. The faces of the bureau chief, Miso, and the members behind him stiffened at this news. Has Soho succeeded in completing the raid dungeon, and what about Dongso and Jae-sik's condition? Soho has come out of the dungeon together with Dongso and Jae-sik in one piece. Dongso and Jae-sik fell together just as they arrived outside. Soho's first level 7 dungeon raid was completed within 24 hours. This completion is included in the world record, which will definitely be difficult to break. Korean people cheered happily after seeing this news, grateful that their choice not to evacuate resulted in sweet hope. Experts agree that completing dungeon level 7 is only a matter of time. The bureau chief stated that Korea's future was in Soho's hands. The bureau chief expressed his thanks to Soho for all his efforts. The bureau chief asked if the 2 Soho colleagues were okay. Dongso and Jae-sik just lack sleep, they will return to normal after getting enough rest. The chairman believes that Soho is exhausted, but he asks for Soho's cooperation to write a report on completing the dungeon strategy. Soho didn't understand what the bureau chief meant, and asked what he meant. Miso said that details about the dungeon, including the map, types of monsters, and the climate in it, would help groups ready to raid the dungeon. Soho was still confused, but he noticed that the bureau had deployed their team in Soho's hunting area. The bureau chief emphasized that when there was a national crisis, more teams joining together would be better for completing the level 7 dungeon and preventing breaks from occurring. Soho rejected it. There was no need to collaborate with anyone. Soho felt that he alone was more than enough. Miso paled in fright. She had taken the wrong decision. The level 7 dungeon was not a national disaster for Soho. This dungeon is nothing more than just a room for valuable treasures that appear right in its territory. Soho does not consider the assistance team from the bureau as partners, but rather foreign parties who want to seize his property. Soho continued asking why there were so many people gathered there. The bureau chief admitted his mistake to Miso, even though Miso had given a warning beforehand. Miso tries to calm Soho down. She would not send additional teams to raid dungeons, because a combat team from the Minister of Defense has entered there. Soho was emotional when he heard that there was a foreign team in his hunting area. Ask who gave permission. Miso and the bureau chief looked down and pointed at Juno, who admitted that he was the one who gave permission. Soho had guessed from the start, apart from Juno, who else would have the courage to make that decision. Soho pinched Juno's ear. Juno begged for forgiveness. His ears felt like they were going to fall off. Previously Juno let people trespass into their territory, and now gives permission to hunt in their territory. Soho shouted for Myung-jin, asking his guild members to bring Myung-jin to him. The bureau chief is confused about what Soho will do next. Soho will conduct its second dungeon raid. Myung-jin will be transported to enter the dungeon. The reporters started speculating. If Soho raids the dungeon alone, does that mean Soho Guild will become the first level 7 guild in Korea? But for now Soho has to reduce the completion time of its raid dungeons. Soho drags Junwo into the dungeon. Monk Myung-jin was thrown into the dungeon along with his equipment. The bureau chief asks Miso to take information from Dongso and Jasik. The bureau chief must send a report to the Korean government. The bureau chief wants to rest for a while. Miso understood. She would report as soon as she got any valuable information. The scene continues. Dongso and Jasik are receiving intensive care from medical officers. These two officers were shocked by the drastic increase in Dongso and Jasik levels. Previously, Jasik and Dongso were at rank D and E, but after clearing the level 7 dungeon once, their rank increased that quickly. Dongso and Jasik woke up from their sleep. Their position was immediately alert. They even took out their weapons and immediately observed the surrounding situation. Dongso realized that they had come out of the dungeon. Dongso asked where Soho was currently. The officer answered that Soho had entered the dungeon with 2 other members. Jasik realized that they didn't have much time left, but they had something to do first. They were both surprised by their level, which had risen to rank B. Dongso wanted to buy the items needed to carry out the next raid. News about Soho carrying out its second raid without rest spread quickly, and made residents calm about the situation. Korean citizens chose to return to their homes, and cancelled their plans to flee to other countries. Hiro, who also read this news, couldn't believe it. Hiro took 9 days on his first try, but Soho was able to finish it in 1 day. Everyone around dungeon level 7 was shocked by the energy fluctuations that occurred. Soho with Juno and Myung-jin have come out of the dungeon. Soho managed to shorten the completion time. The second dungeon raid only took 21 hours. Myung-jin and Juno immediately collapsed when they arrived outside. Medics immediately got to work recovering them, taking 1 hour 20 minutes for complete recovery. Soho is confused by the useless actions of the medics. Miso said that it was a remedial action from the bureau. Miso wants to help as much as possible without disturbing Soho. But according to Soho, this is just a waste of time and energy. Juno and Myung-jin will immediately recover when they enter the dungeon. Dongso and Jasik have arrived there. Their arrival surprised Miso. Because all the members have gathered, Soho will carry out the next raid. Ask Jasik and Dongso to bring Juno and Myung-jin. Jasik objected a bit. If they all came in, who would look after the Soho Guild? Miso volunteered herself. She was willing to supervise the construction process during Soho's dungeon raid. Soho felt suspicious. He was grateful for Miso's help, but why did Miso help them? Miso feels that it is her responsibility to make it easier for Soho to raid dungeons. Soho can focus on his tasks without the slightest worry. Soho agreed, so he left the rest to Miso. If there is something Miso want to decide, just ask Grandma Sukja. Miso understands and is ready to carry out Soho's instructions. Soho returned to the dungeon with his 4 members. Soho and the team have arrived in the dungeon. Juno and Myungjin were still asleep, while Dongso and Jasik were alert. Soho used his search skill and found the approaching enemy. Soho asked Juno and Myungjin to be woken up. The party will start soon. They both woke up at the same time. Juno asked if they hadn't finished the dungeon yet. Dongso explains that they have finished it, but have already gone back inside. Juno was shocked, thinking that the previous battle against the boss monster was just a dream. Juno protested at Soho. He asked for time to rest. Because they are all different from Soho. Soho explained, Juno was in rank C, Jasik was in rank B, Myungjin was in rank B and Dongso was in rank B. Based on their current level, sleeping in the dungeon for 30 minutes was more than enough to rest. They checked their status window again and didn't expect this increase. According to Soho, their bodies have developed rapidly. But their minds are not yet ready. Because of this, they still feel tired even though they have had enough rest. The 4 of them still couldn't believe what happened. It felt like a dream. With their mindset like that, Soho is sure that they won't be able to guard their territory even if they reach rank S. Soho will give them special training. Soho wants them all to have a sense of responsibility so that Soho can be calm when they leave the house. Soho warns that the enemy has come from behind them. A group of undead skeleton knights had come to attack. In one swing of the sword, Jasik felled the bone soldier with ease. Juno immediately went crazy, and started to completely crush his opponent. Shots from the Dongso also killed one bone soldier. And a swing of Myungjin's spear split the bone army in half. Then they were shocked by a terrifying roar. A group of undead orc monsters have arrived there and are ready to slaughter. Soho smiled. Their opponents had come in person to deliver valuable treasures. Guessing this was all thanks to the skill of my monk perhaps. Myungjin used his skills to summon more and more monsters towards them. Continuing, Myungjin used the Dragon Ascension skill to split the ranks of the undead orc troops. Dongso uses his newest weapon, a large-scale rifle ready to destroy its opponents. Dongso asked his colleagues to avoid the center of the explosion. Dongso's shot destroyed the line of approaching undead orc troops. Jasik continued to cut down the monsters that came at him one by one. Juno finally got a new skill that he could shout at. Pangea Obliteration skill. Juno jumped while shouting his newest skill. The swing of his machete hit the ground and caused an area of effect skill. But it didn't work. Instead, Juno got a punch in the face. Jasik felt his strength disappear. His slashes became useless. Dongso also felt strange. His shot accuracy had decreased to the point where he couldn't hit the monster. Monk Myungjin was even worse. He was caught by an orc monster and couldn't move an inch. Above the approaching undead orc monster army, there were 3 flying monsters accompanying them. This monster is called a banshee, a type of witch who can give debuffs to her opponents. Soho immediately deploys his forest elves to recover the team members. Banshee appeared faster than before. Moving outside, Miso comes to see Grandma Sukja. Grandma Sukja wants to make a request about the bath. Miso had planned to build a Scandinavian sauna in the bathhouse. Grandma Sukja suggested that the sauna needed a floor made of red clay. The sensation that a hot stone floor provides increases the recovery process. Miso feels confused. Should she change it to match Grandma Sukja's request? Miso received a telephone call asking him to immediately go to the meeting room. The results of the video analysis had come out for immediate inspection. Miso and the bureau chief had watched the recorded video of Soho's first dungeon raid. The video ends when Jasik manages to slash a banshee. Miso and the bureau chief recognize this monster. Banshee is an undead type monster that is at level S. Its skill gives a debuff to its opponents which reduces the impact of physical attacks, accuracy and speed. Banshee is also capable of using long-range attacks. The Banshee here is not a dungeon boss monster. The bureau chief asked why there was no follow-up to the video. While the video was being taken, Dong-so woke up from his fainting state and cancelled the process. The officer will submit an official request to the Dong-so to ask for his dungeon recordings. Apart from Okita Hiro and Soho, no one has ever successfully completed a level 7 raid dungeon. The Japanese have refused to provide information, while the Korean government has received many requests regarding information on level 7 dungeons. The officer explained the moment where a dying Jasek was healed by a forest fairy belonging to Soho. Not only did he recover, but Jasek also received strengthening. Without Soho's super healing, it is believed that no team in the world could defeat Banshee without leaving any victims. The bureau chief asked how long it had been since the defense troops entered the dungeon. Based on the dungeon time, which moves 3 times fast, it is now the 9th day in the dungeon. Compared to Okita Hiro's team, the Korean team was weaker, and there would definitely be casualties if they encountered a Banshee from the start. The bureau chief wants to save them. Miso asks how. Then they got a report that the Soho team had completed their 3rd dungeon raid. Soho had come out safely, this time it only took him 13 hours to complete. The bureau chief and Miso looked so disbelieving. Then the bureau chief got an idea to save his team. Asked his members to prevent Soho from entering the dungeon. The leader will immediately head to the front of the dungeon portal, hold Park Soho until he arrives. But then, his subordinates reported that Soho had entered the dungeon again. After leaving with all his colleagues, Soho chose to enter the dungeon alone. Head of the Heart Bureau heard this. Soho solo rated dungeon level 7. Miso already has a comparison, that Soho completes the dungeon alone faster than when doing it with team members. Previously Soho took 13 hours to complete the raid dungeon, but using the previous comparison, I think Soho only took around 6 hours. If the bureau chief had realized from the start that Soho could be this extraordinary, then he would have prevented the deployment of defense troops. Miso was curious about the previous bureau chief's idea, a way to save the defense forces. The bureau chief explained that the more often Soho raided dungeons, the faster he would complete all the existing dungeon doors. Then there is one last door left. The news reported that Soho set a new record. The 4th Soho dungeon raid only took 5 hours. It had been 2 days 1 hour 21 minutes since the defense force entered the level 7 dungeon. In New Zealand, there were only 2 people who survived the level 7 dungeon raid. The bureau chief was targeted for his rash decision to send defense troops. Soho has completed its 5th dungeon raid, which this time only lasted 4 hours. When Soho came out, the bureau chief immediately knelt down and hugged Soho's legs. Prevent him from entering the dungeon again. The bureau chief asked Soho to help him, begging Soho to help him. Miso asked Soho for some time, there was something important she wanted to talk about. Invites Soho to come with them. The 3 of them had been hanging out on the edge of the river. The bureau chief has explained the situation. Soho asks how he can help the defense force. Clearing the dungeon faster, the bureau chief answered. But that's what Soho is doing right now. Plus, why should he help people who enter his territory without permission? Miso explains that 3 days have passed since Sun Jinwo's team entered the dungeon, which meant that they had stayed in the dungeon for 9 days. The bureau chief added that if this continues until the 15th day, the defense troops' chances of survival will decrease to below 15%. The bureau doesn't want to lose its best troops. Soho was emotional, no one had ever asked them to enter the dungeon in their area. The bureau chief begged for forgiveness, this was his fault for being less calculating due to his impatience. Soho asks how he will save those who have entered the dungeon. Normally, they had to survive on their own. Miso explains that there is one way to save the defense forces. 5 years ago there was an unexpected incident in a level 1 dungeon. Level 1 dungeons usually appear in the field, and the entry fee is relatively cheap. Because of this, many awakeners try their luck. The 500 available dungeon doors immediately ran out. The problem arises at the last door of the dungeon. 5 rank C mercenaries entered the dungeon with a member limit of 15 people. But after checking carefully, these 5 people found that the dungeon they entered had been cleared by another team. Not long after that, the dungeon exit opened. These 5 people tried their best and ran as fast as they could. But there was only one mercenary who managed to survive the dungeon. An investigation was started, and it was concluded that the 2 teams entered at the same time close to each other due to a misdirection from the operator. The Bureau realized that this might happen at the last door of the dungeon. However, the number of people who can enter the dungeon cannot exceed the maximum limit. Miso summarized it: while the dungeon is still open, and there are awakeners still remaining in it, someone can enter it as long as they don't cross the line. Soho understood. He was asked to complete the raid dungeon as quickly as possible, to save the defense troops in the last dungeon. The bureau chief pleaded while prostrating himself. Only Soho was the only one who could save them. Miso continued that there were 2 empty slots in the last dungeon. Soho understands, there are still 82 doors left to complete. If Soho completes 4 to 5 raids per day, then he can save them before the break occurs. The bureau chief forces Soho to complete the dungeon raid faster. If it takes longer, then the defense troops' chances of survival will decrease. Soho shouted back, which made the bureau chief aware of his position. Prostrate yourself while asking for forgiveness. Soho is willing to help, asking Miso to remind the Soho Guild members to focus on practicing and not be lazy. Miso and the bureau chief's faces lit up. Their hopes for the safety of the defense forces were rekindled. The chairman thanks Soho. Miso asks Soho to focus on the dungeon raid, leave the rest to Miso. Soho immediately sped away, leaving Miso and the bureau chief behind. The bureau chief immediately developed a strategy so that the budget remained liquid even though he did not do anything. News reports that Soho has started its 6th dungeon raid. The Defense Force rescue mission officially begins. Direct reports from journalists said that Soho only entered the dungeon 10 minutes ago. It is estimated that he will finish it in 2 hours. But then journalists and residents there discovered an energy spike in the dungeon. Soho has emerged from the dungeon. His 6th raid only took 13 minutes. Not long after that, Soho immediately entered the dungeon. After completing 15 dungeons with an average time of 20 minutes, Soho took a short break. Despite being the first to solo raid a level 7 dungeon, Soho is still human. It had been 4 days since the defense troops entered the dungeon, and Soho has started its 68th dungeon raid. The world's attention is focused on Soho's extraordinary abilities. Park Soho is fighting hard to clear the dungeon as soon as possible, but there are rumors that the defense force's chance of survival is below 50%. Make Korean people gather and pray for the best. Inside the dungeon, the weather was raining and troops were scouting the area. Soo-young stopped everyone in their tracks. Soo-young felt something approaching them. Right in front of them, 140 meters away, there was a monster coming. A sensor-type monster that checks its surroundings. Soo-young asked all his colleagues to hide and not make a sound. Sihi panicked. Why at times like that, Jin-woo wasn't with them. This situation would be troublesome. The sensor monster found the hiding location of Soo-young and her colleagues. A laser shot through the head of the sensor monster. A soldier shot from a safe distance over a rock. Sihi wanted to immediately run away from there, but Soo-young said that it was too late. The command post gave a report that a large number of monsters were detected leading to the defense troops. Sihi asked all her comrades to be ready for an all-out battle. The hordes of monsters were getting closer, making the situation even more tense. These large numbers of goblin monsters and undead orcs are ready to crush their enemies. Not finished with the monsters that came, Soo-young was surprised again by another guest. Banshee had flown towards Soo-young and company. The command post wanted to check this type of monster, which was feared to be very dangerous, but Sihi didn't need it. According to her, just cut it and everything is fine. Soo-young ran to try to stop Sihi's actions. But as a result, Soo-young was careless, which caused him to be knocked down by a blow from an undead orc. The other soldiers also asked Sihi not to leave the formation. They were being bothered by the constant visits of orcs and goblins. Banshee casts a spell, which releases her magic debuff. Making the defense troops weaken, their strength decreases and they no longer have the energy to fight. Below the Banshee, Sihi had approached and was ready to deliver a surprise attack. Moving outside, Soho has completed the 87th dungeon in 6 days. Returning makes everyone's hopes even bigger. Soho immediately met with the bureau chief and Miso. Soho stated that he would soon enter the final dungeon. The bureau chief begs Soho to return with the defense forces. Soho can't promise. As long as they're still alive, Soho will take them out. The god of Dungeon Park Soho is about to embark on a rescue mission. Experts don't believe that Soho can complete a level 7 dungeon in an average of 15 minutes. 67 countries want to borrow Soho to help them. All the media are planning to make a documentary about Soho. Back in the dungeon, Sihi's attack managed to injure the Banshee, but Sihi was hit by a debuff. One by one the members of the defense force have fallen victim to the ferocity of the undead goblin and orc monsters. Elsewhere, the scout team led by Jin Woo found the location of the boss monster. Jin Woo didn't expect to find this place so quickly. He asked his members to call the main troops so they could immediately defeat the boss monster. But the member reported that the post had been attacked by monsters, and the main force was also in battle. Suddenly a barrier appeared separating Jin Woo and his troops. The entire boss monster area was bound by a magical barrier. Then came out a bone monster known as the Death Knight. This monster was at level S, and was a level 6 dungeon boss monster. It made the scout troops tremble. Jin Woo panicked. He was caught in a trap. His team members were also in danger. What should he do? Sihi fell down after successfully knocking out the Banshee. Sihi was desperate. She had no energy left. The undead orcs had closed in on her. In her status window, Sihi was really dying. Is that the end of her life story? Suyong's fate was not much different. Her sword gave off an aura of danger. Because a line of goblin monsters had come closer. Suyong is also marketed about her life. At this last moment, Suyong remembers memories with Soho. The moment Suyong stroked Soho's cheek, struggling between life and death in dungeon level 5, as well as other adventures with Soho. At this last moment, Suyong couldn't hold back her tears, but she gets a visit from Soho's forest fairy. Soldiers who were fighting fiercely against undead orcs also saw Soho's forest fairy, wondering whether they will die soon. Sihi, who received recovery from Soho, didn't understand what was happening. Suyong realized that she wasn't dreaming. Because Soho has indeed arrived there. In one pass, Soho felled so many undead orc monsters and goblins. The defense squad felt their energy overflowing, all their stats had returned to full, ready to start the second round. Sihi was the same, her burst of lightning energy destroyed the 3 surrounding undead orc monsters. Sihi felt alive again, and it felt so happy, so refreshing. The defense troops were surprised by the many monsters floating in the air. Then the monster beast was completely burned by the fire. These 3 goblin monsters are trying to escape from Soho. But of course, Soho doesn't let anyone get away with it. Soho's tornado fire completely destroyed the 3 monsters. And suddenly, Suyong appeared and immediately hugged Soho. Soho was quite surprised when Suyong appeared there. He didn't know that Suyong was in the defense force. Suyong cried happily. Suyong asked how Soho could get into this dungeon. Sihi, who was checking the surroundings, couldn't believe that all the monsters had fallen. The troops were lined up neatly, and were watching a show. Everyone saw how Suyong hugged Soho. The soldiers learn of rumors about Soho and Songi dating. Surprised, if Park Soho is with them. Then the dungeon they entered was the last one. Speculating whether Soho has cleared all the dungeons. Sihi was very surprised to see Soho and Suyong's affection. Soldiers get emotional because they are all single. Sihi remembers the moment where Suyong got emotional when she discussed Soho. Suyong tried hard to hold Soho in her arms. Meanwhile Soho acts the opposite, trying to keep Suyong away. Soho doesn't want any misunderstandings to occur. And Suyong understands, but Suyong wants to be like this a little longer. Soho ended up accidentally throwing Suyong so that she rolled over and hit a rock. Soho emphasizes that Suyong is too weak to be his woman. Suyong feels humiliated. Soho is not only a perverted bastard, but also doesn't know any manners. Suyong suffered an injury to her nose. Soho approached and asked Suyong's condition. This is the consequence if Suyong continues to stick to Soho. Soho received a report from his forest elf about the situation in the dungeon. Sihi gathered all the members. Of the 21 members of the main force, 6 people became victims and the remaining 15 have gathered. Communications with command posts and reconnaissance troops had been lost. Having just breathed free air, the monsters appeared again from the ground. Sihi decided to go to the command post, check the situation there. Only after that did we look for the whereabouts of the scout troops. Soho approached, and reported that there was no one else at the command post. There were only 5 people still alive, in the boss monster's territory, but their situation wasn't good. Sihi immediately recognized that the 5 people in question were scout troops. Ask where they are located. Because it was time for them to finish, Soho asked everyone to follow him. Just a little late, and they'll all be dead. Soho sped away, leaving everyone behind in an instant. Suyong led the defense troops to run as fast as possible following Soho. Right in front of Soho, hundreds of monsters had appeared to confront him. Sihi asked all her troops to be ready to fight like hell. Soho calls for all its farm animals, including elephants and bears. All his beasts slaughtered any monsters that came close. Sihi and all her colleagues were amazed by Soho's abilities. Really great, and felt that they didn't need to fight. Suyong detected that a flying monster was approaching them. This monster is the boss of the dungeon. He arrived with his entire undead army. Soho smiled in relief. The boss monster called a lich appeared in front of him. The lich is the king of the undead army, and a monster that is quite difficult to fight, but not for Soho. Moved to Jinwoo's location. He felt a black mist evaporating from a building in front of him. Jinwoo was sure that what was inside the building was the heart of the lich boss monster. Jinwoo wanted to destroy him. That way all the undead will be destroyed and they can leave the dungeon. The members tried to stop Jinwoo. He couldn't do this alone. Jinwoo had no choice. This was the only way. Pray for the members to survive until Jinwoo destroys the lich's heart. Jinwoo steadily stepped into the boss monster's room. Its members tried to strengthen themselves, because it was better to fight to survive. Returning to the Soho location, Sihi and her squad continue to be surprised by Soho's amazing abilities. Soho flew using golden eagle wings, and burned all the monsters below him. The waves of the Sea of Fire wiped out the monsters until nothing remained. Soho also curbed the movement of the lich using a fire tornado storm. Soho didn't have time to play any longer. He would immediately return the lich to its original place. Soho appeared a portal, then copied the portal. 4-dimensional portal surrounded the lich. From within it a wyvern emerged which immediately bit the lich clean. Even though the lich was defeated, their mission was still not finished. Soho asks to follow him again. Sihi and Suyong realize that this isn't over yet, plus the exit hasn't appeared yet. Suyong led the troops to run after Soho, who had gone far away. Moved to where Jinwoo is. His steps stopped after his path was blocked by a group of monsters. Using his skills, Jinwoo tried hard to break through all the monster barriers. One by one, Jinwoo brushed the monsters easily as he continued to break through. Until finally, Jinwoo was caught. His movement was completely locked. His skill became useless, because the monster seeped into Jinwoo's body. Outside, the scout troop members were also helpless in the face of the endless monster beasts. They were surrounded. Outside the barrier hundreds of monsters awaited. There's no turning back. This soldier was desperate. His body no longer wanted to move. He had run out of energy. 2 Death Knights darted towards him, coming bearing good news. Just as the Death Knight swung his sword, Soho appeared in the form of a wild boar and destroyed the barrier. Soho turned into a honey bear again, and immediately destroyed the Death Knight. Changing back to his original form, Soho burned the other Death Knights with his fire fairy skill. Soho restored the condition of the scout troops. And also all the undead outside the barrier have been burned down in Soho. Soho asks where another person is. The members answered that Jinwoo had entered the boss's room. Soho will go inside and take Jinwoo out. Ask the scout troops to wait for the arrival of the main force. Soho turned into a golden eagle again, and broke through every existing barrier. Soho dashed at full speed into the boss monster room. Right when he landed, Soho returned to his human form. With the fire fairy skill, Soho burns every existing monster. Soho turned into a wolf again, and destroyed a door to the boss monster's main room. Soho witnessed that Jinwoo had been wrapped in a spider web. And in a chest, there is a lich's heart that is still beating. Jinwoo is still alive, but his condition is truly worrying. His life energy was absorbed by the lich. If you leave it any longer, the lich will rise completely. Actually, Soho wanted to see the lich at his full power, but he couldn't let this go any further. Soho burns the casket containing the lich's heart and explodes it. A huge explosion occurred, destroying the boss monster's main building. Followed by the disappearance of all the undead into dust, as well as the existing barriers. The exit has also appeared a sign that the dungeon has been successfully completed. Outside, the countdown to the exit had begun, making everyone cheer happily. Soho returned with Jinwoo in his lap. Soo-young was worried, asking Soho how Jinwoo was. Soho explained that Jinwoo wasn't dead, but he was very weak. Request everyone to leave immediately. All the soldiers were so happy to hear that, there was no way the Korean man of iron would die that easily. The announcement was made. Soho successfully underwent a rescue mission that had never occurred in human history. It hasn't even been 40 minutes since Soho entered the final dungeon, but the exit has opened. The whole world watched and followed the development of this incident. Soho's hard work in completing dungeon level 7 bore sweet fruit for the safety of humanity. Soho along with all the surviving defense troops have come out of the dungeon portal. Not long after, the level 7 dungeon immediately disappeared from Korean soil. Jinwoo was immediately treated by the medical team. After being examined, his condition was fine, there were no life-threatening injuries. Soho was immediately surrounded by journalists who immediately asked lots of questions. How is Soho's condition? Is he recording his dungeon raid? Is Soho willing to share information about level 7 dungeons? Soho didn't give a single answer. Soho immediately left, flying through the air using golden eagle wings. Sihi was truly amazed by Soho. Sihi never thought she would meet Soho in her difficult life. For Sihi, her meeting with Soho was fate. Soo-young doesn't understand Sihi's admiration for Soho. Sihi asked Soo-young whether she likes Park Soho. Whether Soo-young has hidden feelings for Soho. Soo-young doesn't admit it, saying that it's impossible for a woman to like a star man like Soho. Sihi continued to ask why Soo-young hugged Soho before, so she didn't want to let go. Soo-young reasoned that she was just happy because she met Soho. If that's the case, Sihi feels there won't be any problem if he approaches Soho and asks her out. Sihi blooms, fate has brought her to meet Soho. Meanwhile, Soo-young experiences chaotic inner turmoil. Miso, who heard and witnessed this, could only rub her chest. How stupid it is that Soo-young doesn't want to admit her feelings. Soho trended all over the world, earning the nickname of the Dungeon God. Complete dungeon level 7 in 6 days. All countries request Korean level 7 dungeon raid information. The bureau chief admitted that without Soho, it would be impossible for the mission to succeed. Hiro, who read this news, really didn't want to believe it. What Soho has done does not make sense. Hiro suspects that there are still many Soho skills that he doesn't know yet. Curious about how Soho finished the dungeon so quickly. As Hiro walked away, he accidentally bumped into a local youth who was passing by. Hiro apologized for his accident, he didn't want to cause trouble. Hiro was lucky because the local youth was still on probation for release. They just left Hiro like that. Hiro heard that the 3 young men were discussing Soho, praising Soho for being extraordinary, who can't be compared to Lee Sun-woo. For them, Lee Sun-woo was a traitor, a bastard who pretended to be good, and was finally found out. Hiro was so angry when he heard that, he planned to use the 3 young men as sacrifices to increase the level of his regression stone. Back in Korea, Jinwoo had just woken up from his stupor. He asked the medic what happened. The officer explained that Soho had completed dungeon level 7 and rescued Jinwoo and all his troops. Jinwoo was really surprised to hear that. Couldn't believe that Soho could be that great. In another room, Dongso and Juno had a surprising guest. Sihi came wearing a rabbit costume, carrying food. Asking if Soho has woken up from his sleep,